The lightning needle pierced through Dongfang Zichu's yuan spirit, causing him to scream so miserably. Even a three-flower earth venerate would wail in pain if their yuan spirit was pierced. Pain was the fairest thing in this world. It didn't matter what your status, realm, or power was. In front of pain, no falsehoods could be made. They were all stripped away. A three-flower earth venerate's pain tolerance might not be greater than an ordinary cultivator. As he screamed in pain, the dignity of an expert was silently trampled. When a man is about to die, they talk softly. When a bird is about to die, they cry out mournfully. Well then, go ahead and scream as much as you please. Long Chen's expression was frightening. He was clenching his teeth, and veins bulged on his forehead. As for his eyes, they were full of icy killing intent. Another lightning needle pierced Dongfang Zichu's yuan spirit. Having endured the harrowing process of soul refinement, Long Chen gained first-hand knowledge of the most excruciating form of torture possible, tormenting the yuan spirit. Dongfang Zichu's yuan spirit quivered and screamed. He was suffering through unimaginable pain at this moment. Why must you force me? Stab. If you want to kill me, why didn't you come at me? Why did you have to target Qingxian? Stab. If you want to harm me, then fine. But you cannot harm the woman I love. Stab. You harmed my woman, turning me into a devil. None of you will ever reincarnate again. Stab. Long Chen repeatedly stabbed Dongfang Zichu's yuan spirit with a lightning needle. Dongfang Zichu repeatedly screamed like he was in hell, but he had no ability to resist. Didn't you say that you had an undying body? I don't believe in that kind of witchcraft. These lightning needles contain my will. Long Chen clenched his teeth. He suddenly bit his finger, causing blood to flow. After that, he marked Dongfang Zichu's forehead. I, Long Chen, swear my oath. All gods and devils hear me. All 10,000 Daos of the universe be the witness. Using my blood, I seal Dongfang Zichu. Starting now, heaven and earth cannot contain him. The 6 Daos cannot reincarnate him. The 3 worlds cannot accept him. He is to suffer the pain of lightning devouring his soul night and day. As long as I, Long Chen, do not die, the soul devouring cannot stop. If any one of you dares to defy me, when I rule this world, heaven and earth will collapse. The 6 Daos will crumble, and the 3 worlds will be overturned. When he swore his oath, rumbling rang throughout the world, causing heaven and earth to quiver. Each of his words seemed to be branded into the laws of heaven and earth. In that instant, heaven and earth submitted, and the 10,000 Daos obeyed. His will has exceeded the laws of the heavenly Daos, to the point that he can change the laws with just words. Just who is he? Within the darkness, a pair of beautiful concealed eyes finally showed a trace of shock. Following Long Chen's roar, a crack appeared in heaven and earth. After that, Long Chen released Dongfang Zichu. No, Lord Brahma, save me. However, no one answered him. Dongfang Zichu was dragged into the darkness by an invisible force, and it shrank until the world sealed itself once more. Dongfang Zichu was gone. Everyone knew that Dongfang Zichu was done for. He would not die and would be tortured for eternity. From this moment on, he could no longer exist within heaven and earth, the 6 Daos, and the 3 worlds. All he could do was suffer through the cracks between the 3 worlds as lightning ravaged his soul. Even if he wanted to die, he could not die. As long as Long Chen didn't die, he would suffer. This curse was truly terrifying. When people thought of Dongfang Zichu's fate, they got goosebumps. Within the capital, everyone was stunned. They were holding off the Yansu Gates invasion, so they saw everything clearly. Long Chen was absolutely terrifying. After going through the trial by fire with him, Zhu Yifeng, Zhu Yunwen, Yu Chenxue, and the others thought that they had gained a certain level of understanding over Long Chen's power. But now they found that they didn't understand him in the slightest. With a single oath, Long Chen made heaven and earth submit. The 10,000 Daos grew subservient. It was like an imperial edict, shaking the world with his words alone. That left them completely dumbfounded. Was this really the Long Chun they knew? Yu Qingshuan's eyes were full of tears as she stared at the ferocious Long Chun, who appeared to be a devil. At this moment, she felt no fear, only warmth. Long Chun had previously told her that for her, he would be willing to become a devil to fight this world. Long Chun had said it and he had done it. To be loved by a man so deeply that he viewed her life as above his own. That was a love that no woman could resist. Yu Qingshuan's tears rolled down her face. She then looked from the Yansu Gate to the deathly Hell Gate. Now, she knew that she did not want to die. Just then, Long Chen's Kunping wings flapped. He actually shot toward the Yansu Gate. Boom! All of a sudden, the Yansu Gate opened and a black hand reached toward Yu Qingxian. When it appeared, an overwhelming divine pressure shook the land, causing the capital to actually begin to sink. The barrier also became covered in countless cracks. As a result, the experts inside the capital were horrified. At this moment, Long Chun reached the Yansu Gate and unleashed his remaining power. Before the Dragon King battle armor fully faded, he would destroy the Yansu Gate. Boom! However, his enormous saber image directly crumbled, the backlash causing him to hack up blood, almost dying. As for the hand, it was completely undamaged. That's a heaven venerates power. Yu Xiaoyun and the others despaired. This hand possessed the aura of a heaven venerate, the strongest existence within the divine venerate realm. Mortal venerate, earth venerate, and heaven venerate. Although they were all in the divine venerate realm, the difference between each level was as immense as heaven and earth. Those beneath the heaven venerate realm were ants. To put it simply, even 100,000 earth venerates could not resist a single heaven venerate. As the giant hand slowly fell, the barrier cracked more and more, looking like it might shatter at any moment. Yu Xiaoyun, Jiang Huixin, Su Lanxin, and the others were bitterly enduring, but they were already pale. It seemed like they had reached their limit. Once this barrier was broken, they would at least be severely wounded, if not dead from the backlash. But they refused to give up. Yu Xiaoyun looked over everyone who was bitterly enduring. Then he looked at Long Chun in the distance. Despite being badly injured, Long Chun charged back at that hand. He was like an ant trying to fight back against the hand of the heavens. His figure appeared so small and alone. Yu Qingxian suddenly cried out, "Stop! Mom, Dad, thank you all. Thank you for bringing me into this world. Thanks for letting me experience this world's beauty. Long Chun, thank you for everything that you have done for me. But you can stop now. If there is a next life, I am willing to be your wife and spend a lifetime with you to thank you for the kindness you have shown me." Yu Qingxian fully gave up when she saw all the people that she cared about fighting to the death for her. She loved this world, and she loved everyone here. So, she was willing to die rather than have them all sacrifice their lives for nothing. "I already said that as long as I am here, no one can hurt you. Trust me." Long Chen's furious roar rang out. Although he was covered in blood, his gaze was still determined. He then put away his saber and formed hand seals. Just like a moth throwing itself into the fire, he charged toward the Yansu Gate. Buzz! Suddenly, a golden light lit up in front of Long Chen's forehead, and a golden lotus seed appeared in front of him. Long Chen was overjoyed. He had finally managed to summon this lotus seed. Just like that, Long Chun smashed the golden lotus seed at the Yansu Gate and the hand. As Long Chun smashed the golden lotus seed into the Yansu Gate, the golden lotus seed emitted supreme divine might. In response to the surge of energy, the giant Yansu Gate trembled and, to the shock of all present, it exploded along with the colossal hand that emerged from it. The collapse of the spatial gate resulted in a vast black vortex forming, swirling ominously. However, the divine light radiating from the golden lotus seed illuminated the depths of this dark vortex, creating an awe-inspiring spectacle for all to behold. Through the vortex, they saw a world engulfed in black flames. Within the sea of black flames, the divine light emanating from the golden lotus seed only illuminated a minuscule portion. However, within that tiny corner, they saw a long-haired man glaring at Long Chun in fury and shock. Long Chun could see that one of the man's arms was missing, and his shoulder was consumed by golden flames. Impossible! Long Chun has killed countless lifeforms. How could he obtain your approval? Roared that man. That roar came through the vortex but still caused the 10,000 daos to crumble. Hearing this roar, Long Chun then grunted, and blood suddenly gushed out of his eyes, ears, and nose. On the battlefield, both allies and enemies were shaken and lost consciousness for a moment. Sharp pain also racked their souls as if they would be torn apart. That is definitely a heaven venerate. Yu Xiaoyun and the others were shocked. This man was absolutely terrifying. Despite his terrifying power, he was still injured by Long Chun through space. No, it should be said that he was injured through space by that golden lotus seed. Long Chun didn't answer that man. Of course, the golden lotus seed also didn't answer him. The vortex slowly shrank until it vanished. Third brother, you? Within an endless sea of black flames where primal chaos chi gushed forth, a startled cry rang out. The speaker was Yen Su's eighth son, and the deceased Yen Hong's big brother, Yen Feng. As for the man whose arm was gone, he was Yen Su's third son, Yen Chong. He was shocked and enraged. At this moment, the sea of flames beneath his feet erupted, and primal chaos chi rushed toward him. A million-mile sea of flames then wrapped around him. As those black flames poured into his body, the golden flames on his arm slowly extinguished. How can this be? Even you can't deal with Long Chun? Exclaimed Yen Feng. When Long Chun killed Yen Hong, Yen Feng also attempted to avenge his brother by trying to kill Long Chun. However, Long Chun possessed the protection of the golden lotus seed, rendering Yen Feng powerless to harm him. So this time, Yen Chong, a formidable heaven venerate, took matters into his own hands. But even he ended up losing an arm for nothing. It seems that restoring this arm will require several months at the very least, Yen Chong stated gravely. What? Within the sea of primal chaos flames, you still can't instantly recover. Yen Chong remained silently for a long time before sighing. I don't understand. Long Chun is a murderer. How can it have chosen him? It makes no sense. Well, the Hell Gate is already open. Long Chun probably won't survive anyway. Let's just see what happens. Yen Chong merged into the sea of primal chaos flames. As for Yen Feng, he was stunned for a long time before he also merged into the sea of flames. The vortex vanished, and along with it, the divine light of the golden lotus seed also faded away. Now it appeared dimmer, having lost its original radiance. It became evident that Long Chen's act had exhausted all of its energy. Horrified to see that, he immediately returned it to the primal chaos space. Fortunately, once it was back in the primal chaos space, it returned to its original location, and other than being dimmer, there was nothing wrong with it. Boom! Suddenly, there was an explosive sound, and Long Chun turned to see a black dagger cut through the air, slicing through the 10,000 das. A fat head then flew into the air. Mingyu! That head belonged to the Bloodkill Hall's master, Enputa. Dong Mingyu really had cut off his head. Furthermore, the weapon she had used to do so was not her original dagger, but the divine weapon that Long Chun had given her. As for Dong Mingyu, despite her paleness and weakened aura, she displayed remarkable composure. Her eyes remained as steady as two stars in the night sky, showing no signs of wavering. Even in the presence of an expert like Enputa, she remained completely collected and unfazed. How unexpected! How truly unexpected! The 3,617 attacks at the start were all preparation for your final attack. That steadiness, that patience, that scheming, they were all excellent. My loss was not unjustified. Enputa's head floated there, the wound on his neck rapidly rotting. But even as his body rotted, he calmly looked at Dong Mingyu. Within the capital, everyone gaped in utter shock at Dong Mingyu. This seemingly young girl, appearing to be merely 13 or 14 years old, had accomplished the unthinkable. She had decapitated the notorious master of the Bloodkill Hall in Puta. Zhu Yifeng, Zhu Yunwen, Yu Qianxue, and the others stood there, their expressions dazed and sluggish, unable to believe what they had just witnessed. They couldn't comprehend how such a tiny figure could possess such terrifying power. Just then, Xiachen, Guoran, and the others arrived with the Dragonblood warriors. Guoran's saber bore the grisly evidence of 3 corpses still hanging from it. 3 Empire lords. Among them was Wang Taibei. During the intense battle, all eyes were fixated on Long Chun and Dong Mingyu, causing everyone to lose focus on the other battlefield where Xiachen, Guoran, and the Dragonblood warriors were fiercely fighting. But now that the Dragonblood warriors were returning, it was clear that everything was over. They then looked and didn't find a single living enemy. The absence of the 3 flower earth venerates, who were either slain or had fled, signified a great triumph for the Dragonblood warriors. Such a feat would undoubtedly make their names renowned throughout the world. However, despite this remarkable achievement, the expressions of everyone, except Guoran, remained indifferent, as though they had merely accomplished something insignificant. This calm demeanor sent shivers through the hearts of onlookers. Guoran, Xiachen, and the Dragonblood warriors all stood behind Long Chun. When Yu Qianxue saw that, she couldn't help but put on a bitter smile. Any random Dragonblood warrior was actually stronger than them, the princes and princesses of the Empire. However, she had actually wanted to gamble on winning the entire Dragonblood Legion. As she reflected on that, she was so embarrassed that she wanted to find a hole to hide herself in. Zhu Yunwen and the others couldn't help but sigh in admiration. The Dragonblood warriors were dragons among men. Perhaps only a monster like Long Chun could win their recognition. We've already determined that when a man is about to die, they talk softly. I don't know what a crafty, shameless fellow like you will say before your death, said Dong Mingyu. And Puta was reduced to just a head. But Dong Mingyu did not relax. Her starry eyes were still locked onto him. And Puta smiled slightly and turned to a certain space. I've lost and I am fully convinced by it. Yi Wuxing, you can come out. Following Enputa's gaze, they looked toward an empty space. To their surprise, a mesmerizing and ethereal figure began to materialize there, slowly taking form before their eyes. She donned an exquisite outfit, a combination of elegance and power. Her skin-tight leather armor accentuated her graceful curves, reminiscent of a majestic and fierce leopardess. The sight was both alluring and intimidating, leaving onlookers in awe. Even as she materialized before them, everyone couldn't really sense her. It was as if she was intertwined with the void, remaining elusive even to those who looked directly at her. She seemed to embody the world itself, as though she held its very essence within her being. It was as if she was the master of the world, and a mere thought from her could wipe out all life in an instant. She had short hair and thin lips, with long, narrow eyes and a fair complexion. Her beauty carried a deadly allure. However, when looking at her, there was no way to form the desire between men and women. Instead, there was only fear. When she looked at you, it was like the blade of death was pressed against your throat. In front of her, it was as if all your weaknesses were fully exposed, fatal weaknesses that could not be concealed. She was a legendary existence of the immortal world, the master of the Shadow Sect, and the one who was called the Silence of the Night, Yi Wuxing. The Silence of the Night was both the name of her manifestation and her moniker. It was a name that caused countless experts to quiver in fear. As expected, only you have the ability to cut off my ties to Lord Brahma's faith. I just don't understand. Are you truly challenging Lord Brahma to war? Despite Enputa being left with only his head, and even with the wound to his neck slowly rotting away, he still remained remarkably calm. You antagonized me back then, so I wanted to kill you. Lord Brahma did stop me then, so I warned him that he could protect you for the moment but not for a lifetime. No one that I want to kill has yet to survive. However, after my fight with Lord Brahma, I broke through. Killing you then would be meaningless. That is when I decided I would have my most outstanding disciple take your head. It would count as their greatest trial. Whoever could accomplish this would receive my full legacy. On the surface, You appear to have hidden yourself away and not dare to leave your hole with your true body, instead using avatars to do your business. But in truth, your true body did leave many times. You were testing me, seeing if I would pursue you. So, I pretended not to notice, and you thought it was because I was afraid of Lord Brahma. In truth, every single one of your movements was under my gaze. I was just waiting for the right opportunity. When you started plotting to kill Long Chun here, I had little you prepare herself. I knew that the opportunity had come, and little you really didn't disappoint me. In the Immortal King realm, she killed you who is at the peak of the World King realm. This also shows that the 9 heavens and 10 lands is progressing to a new era. None of us are the main characters of this era. Not me, not you, not even Lord Brahma. We are all part of a larger story, playing our roles, but none of us holds the spotlight. This is a completely new era. The laws that we could not break back then will be broken by them, said Yi Wuxing expressionlessly. Upon hearing this, everyone's heart shook. Lord Brahma was a legendary existence, and his name had resounded throughout heaven and earth eras ago. Although he suddenly vanished at his most glorious time, the legends of him were known to all. At that time, Lord Brahma was a glorious, fast-rising genius who reached the very peak of the heaven-venerate realm. However, he suddenly went into seclusion, with only his apprentices and their grand apprentices doing his work. Countless years passed. Geniuses rose and fell. However, the name of Lord Brahma was still known to all. However, this woman had actually fought Lord Brahma in the past. Then she had to be someone from the same era. Clearly, although Yi Wuxing also had a degree of fame, it was mostly limited to the senior generation. The youngsters in the Vermilion Bird Empire had not heard of her. That was why Zhu Yifeng, Zhu Yunwen, and the others were all stunned. They had never dreamed that someone from that ancient era would appear before them now. Could a person really live so long? This short-haired woman who looked to be in her 30s was actually such an ancient figure? However, she seemed to be full of life. Had she really lived for that many years? Imputa sighed. You are right. I didn't have your vision. Although I also knew that the new era would arise, I thought that it would be centuries from now. I was always very confident in my calculations, but it was that confidence that brought about my ruin. If I had your vision, I would have paid any price to kill Long Chun at the start. I was too conceited. I have let down Lord Brahma's trust in me. Imputa's tone was very regretful as he blamed himself. He had always viewed Long Chun as an important figure, and he had even been thinking of pulling Long Chun to his side. However, he found out later that there was no way to control Long Chun. He always liked to use the smallest price to make the greatest gains. But when it came to Long Chun, he had actually misjudged, and very badly at that. All his schemes ended up useless. In the end, he suffered a grievous defeat, one from which he could not recover. You always thought yourself smart. You know to be meticulous, down to the smallest detail. Perhaps that is perfect for doing small things, but when it comes to accomplishing anything major, you lack decisiveness and daring. That is why you only remained the master of an outer hall. You were never able to be promoted to the inner hall or to rank amongst Lord Brahma's 8 great divine commanders. If you were one of the 8 divine commanders, I would not be able to sever your tie to Lord Brahma's faith. Even though he is in seclusion, he would definitely come save you then. Unfortunately, there are not so many ifs in this world. Even a wise man who considers everything 1,000 times will make a mistake eventually. With this one mistake, you have no chance of winning anymore, said Yi Wuxing. Imputa smiled bitterly. That is correct. There are not so many ifs in this world. I have to thank you. You have made me understand why Lord Brahma never valued me highly. I understand now. This chess piece is too small to be useful. But understanding now is too late. In the end, I still failed to live up to Lord Brahma's expectations. Long Chun was originally enraged and wanted to slice Imputa apart, but seeing Imputa acting like this before his death, without any trace of cowardice or blaming others, Long Chun had to acknowledge that Imputa was undoubtedly the most cunning adversary he had ever faced. As he calmly watched Imputa's life come to an end, a sliver of respect crept into Long Chun's heart. Imputa, as your enemy, I am willing to give you a dignified death, said Long Chun. Ha 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 ha. Imputa suddenly laughed. Imputa laughed. Even now that his neck was severed, his faith energy was still delaying the decay caused by the black dagger's power. But at this moment, the flesh of his lower jaw was rotting and breaking apart as he laughed, displaying a horrifying sight. Although I, Imputa, am contemptible and willing to use any means necessary, a loss is a loss. I don't need anyone's pity. I am called the despicable killing god for a reason. Do you think that I'd care about dying with dignity? At this time, he was still able to laugh. Even Long Chen had to admire that about him. Although he was contemptible, he was still admirable in some areas. After all, not everyone could face death like this. After laughing, Imputa said, Long Chen, this time it is my defeat. I underestimated your rate of growth and overestimated my control. However, just because I lost doesn't mean that you've won. I will die, but you will also follow me soon. The Hell Gate will soon open. When that happens, the emissary of the Nether Emperor will descend and bring his woman back to the depths of hell. I know how much you care about your loved ones. That is your greatest weakness, your fatal weakness. It already showed itself when you fought the Yansu Gate. You won't just watch as Yu Qingxian dies, so you will accompany her in death. After all, no one can resist the Nether Emperor's power. I'm a dead man, and so are you. I suppose that this can be considered my final act for Lord Brahma. I can die in peace. Only when Imputa said this did everyone realize that the crisis wasn't over. They raised their heads and were shocked to see a crack in the Hell Gate. Death Chi was pouring out of it. Master, you can definitely stop it, right? Dong Mingyu's expression changed. She turned to her master with a pleading expression. However, Yi Wuxing didn't reply. Instead, it was Imputa who answered her. As an assassin, no matter how powerful you are, any emotions will make you easy to scheme against and kill. To tell the truth, I don't like that I've lost to someone like you. The Nether Emperor's emissary will possess the laws of hell, and they are immune to all attacks from this world. So, even your master is powerless. Perhaps Long Chen's lotus seed would have had the ability to resist the laws of hell, but it is already out of energy after fighting the power of Yansu. Other than that, little Dong Mingyu, you should worry about yourself instead of Long Chen. That dagger you used to kill me has a terrifying background. When it was in Long Chen's hands, I already suspected its origins. When it cut through my neck, it instantly exhausted 90% of my faith energy. So, I am now sure of its origin. It already has a master. For the dagger to suddenly absorb so much faith energy, that master has definitely sensed it. When its master descends, they won't just take the dagger but also your life. You also won't be surviving. Hearing this, Dong Mingyu didn't get angry, nor did she show fear. She simply smiled. Did you think that if Big Brother Long Chen died, I would continue living? Clearly, if Yu Qingxian died, Long Chen wouldn't live either. And if Long Chen died, Dong Mingyu would follow. For a moment, everyone was stunned. They looked from Long Chen to Dong Mingyu. Both of them were peerless heavenly geniuses with limitless potential, the human race's hope. Were they all going to fall here? There's no need for you to worry about these things. Since you feel indifferent to death, I won't stand on courtesy. Long Chen suddenly appeared in front of Imputa and pointed his finger. Buzz. Imputa's soul was ripped out of his head. You wish to examine my soul? Sorry, but you aren't capable of it. Boom. Imputa's soul exploded. Even so, Long Chen was prepared, and black flames enveloped those shattered soul fragments. Boom. Imputa's spiritual fragments continuously exploded, detonating 9 more times before stopping. Those spiritual fragments were smithereens now and were essentially useless. However, Long Chen's expression didn't change. It seemed that this was well within his expectations. He then summoned Huolong, and she devoured those spiritual fragments. As Imputa's head vanished, his headless corpse was also rotting away. It seemed that it wouldn't be long before his entire corpse was gone. For an expert on Imputa's level, his body was nourished by faith energy, so it had almost reached the point of being unbreakable, immortal. However, in front of that black dagger, his physical body was still not strong enough. When Long Chun was stabbed by that dagger long ago, it clearly hadn't had that much power, or he would have long since died. It was unknown if the dagger had grown during this time, or if something in it had changed after killing some experts. In any case, this black dagger was growing increasingly powerful, like a bloodthirsty devil that had been sealed for countless years and was awakened by the taste of blood. Long Chun had no time to study the dagger. After Hualinger devoured Enputa's spiritual fragments, she brought them into the primal chaos space. Long Chen's spiritual strength then flowed into the primal chaos space. There, Enputa's spiritual fragments began to slowly merge back together, growing bigger and bigger. Inside the primal chaos space, Long Chun reigned as its master, with all the laws under his command. No matter how severely Enputa tore up his soul, Long Chun possessed the power to mend it back together effortlessly. Originally, when Long Chun offered to give Enputa a dignified death, it came with a condition. That was to tell him the secrets relating to the Nether Emperor. However, since Enputa refused, Long Chun didn't stand on courtesy. After becoming an immortal king, the primal chaos space had gone through a mysterious change. Long Chun wasn't sure what it was, but with this first test, he really succeeded. Long Chen's entire focus was on rebuilding the spiritual fragments. After all, he wanted to know the secrets of the Nether Emperor. After a while, Long Chen finally grasped the right fragment. Feeling delighted, he started studying it. But just as he grasped the slightest information, a terrifying, dangerous aura caused him to quiver. After that, he heard a howl. The moment Long Chen's mind left the primal chaos space, an ear-piercing laugh pierced his ear like a needle, causing him to feel like his soul was being cut into millions of pieces. Countless people also covered their ears and screamed. The barrier covering the capital could block the Yensu flames, but it was unable to block out that sound. It actually shattered. Just then, the hell gate slowly opened, and black chi gushed out, along with one figure after another. When people saw those figures, their bodies turned ice cold, and they were filled with terror. Those figures were clad in odd clothes, a mix of men and women. Strangely, their clothes seemed to be in a state of constant decay, disintegrating as they moved, yet somehow reforming again. With the musical instruments in their hands, they played undeniably melodious tunes, but the tunes somehow carried an overwhelming sensation that made people feel as if their very souls might burst. What weirded out the people around the most was the appearance of these figures. They resembled dried-out corpses, and their faces had an eerie mix of humans and some other life forms. However, despite their lifeless appearance, their auras sent shivers down the spines of even the earth venerates present. Slowly, more and more these peculiar life forms emerged from the gate, as if they were the musical escorts for a grand event unfolding before them. Amidst the unfolding spectacle, a black palanquin appeared, looking as big as a mountain. This gigantic thing required the strength of 8 giants to carry it. When these 8 giants materialized, the world quivered. With every step they took, mountains swayed and the stars flickered. This enormous escort stretched 10,000 miles long and set its course straight for the Vermilion Bird Empire. As they approached, endless death energy filled this world, causing all vegetation within the capital to wither. The infection of this hellish aura turned the place into a corner of hell itself. "We welcome the Emperor's woman's return." Suddenly, the 8 giants shouted in unison, their voices shaking Yu Qingxuan's body. And then, as if in response to their shout, flower petals materialized behind her. These petals were unusually long and slender, resembling the tentacles of some monstrous entity. Strangely, the stamens were even longer, giving them the appearance of petals, while the petals seemed to take on the appearance of stamens. A sinister aura enveloped Yu Qingxian, and she began to float toward the gigantic black palanquin. "No!" Yu Xiaoyun roared and reached out to grab Yu Qingxian, but he was shocked to see his hand simply pass right through her, unable to touch her. Yu Qingxian seemed to have turned into an apparition as they could no longer touch her. Furthermore, when Yu Xiaoyun's body passed through her body, an invisible force knocked him aside. When Yu Xiaoyun stabilized himself, people were horrified to see a few white strands appear in his black hair. He seemed to have aged. Undeterred by this, Yu Xiaoyun began to form hand seals. He was clearly intent on dragging Yu Qingxian back. Thus, Yu Qingxian could only cry out for him to stop. Imperial Father, don't. She knew that the power of the Nether Emperor was not something that any of them could resist. If her father were to forcibly attempt, his longevity would be stripped away. However, Yu Xiaoyun refused to stop. Blood then leaked out of the space between his eyebrows, as he ignited his essence blood. At that moment, the immemorial vermilion bird in his manifestation reappeared. Yu Xiaoyun roared, "My daughter cannot be taken by anyone, not even the Nether Emperor." Seeing this, everyone was filled with horror. Jiang Huixin and Su Lanxin desperately tried to intervene, but Yu Xiaoyun was resolute. Ignoring any restraint, he unleashed all his power in a last-ditch effort. No one could dissuade him from recklessly throwing his life away. "Imperial Father, please, I beg you." Upon seeing his father's desperation, Yu Qingxuan's heart shattered. Yu Xiaoyun would definitely die if this continued. Just as the imperial family's experts despaired, a black figure appeared and reached Yu Qingxian before Yu Xiaoyun. When that happened, the void quivered and some black flames formed a screen around Yu Qingxian, knocking Yu Xiaoyun aside. "She is my woman. I will save her myself." This black figure was Long Chen. He stood in front of Yu Qingxian, looking at her tear-stained face. "You little bastard. If my son-in-law dies, will Qingxian stay alive? Scram. I will unleash the full vermilion bird divine radiance. Who cares about some Nether Emperor? I will save my daughter no matter what," roared Yu Xiaoyun. Yu Xiaoyun knew that if he ignited all the remaining power of the vermilion bird, he should have a shot at saving his daughter. Even so, the price of such a reckless act weighed down heavily on him. He knew that it would cost him his life and potentially jeopardize the future of the Vermilion Bird Empire. However, in this battle, he could see that his children had grown up, each being an outstanding figure, so he was no longer worried about them. With this newfound confidence, he made up his mind. No matter what, he would save Yu Qingxian. After all, amongst all his sons and daughters, he owed her the most, and this was the only way he could repay her. "Sorry, although you're my father-in-law, my woman must be protected by myself." Long Chen then cupped Yu Qingxuan's face and softly said, "Qingxian, don't worry. As long as I am here, no one can take you from my side." Just like that, Long Chen spread his arms. "Don't!" Yu Xiaoyun roared, while Yu Qingxian screamed in terror. The experts from the Vermilion Bird Empire couldn't bear to witness what was about to happen and shut their eyes. Dong Mingyu charged over, wanting to share life and death with Long Chen. However, Yi Wuxing pressed a hand on her, and she instantly couldn't move. Yi Wuxing simply watched everything occurring without the slightest ripple in her eyes. It was as if nothing in this world could cause her to feel the slightest concern. In front of everyone's despairing gazes, Long Chen grabbed Yu Qingxian. People were shocked to see his body also grow illusory. "Long Chen, how could you do this? Big sister Meng Qi and the others still need you. I don't want you to die with me." Yu Qingxuan's heart shattered. She knew that Long Chen would die with her. Everyone was weeping. They could not accept that these two would die just like this. This was too cruel. Long Chen and Yu Qingxian were enveloped by black energy, slowly floating toward the palanquin. Suddenly, Zhu Yifeng roared, his sword transforming into a streak of light that shot toward one of the giants carrying the palanquin. However, that giant didn't even look at it. The sword simply pierced through its body and flew out. Their bodies seemed to not exist. However, the sword turned to dust once it flew out of the giant's body. A divine weapon of the Vermilion Bird Empire was lost just like that. "How can this be? Can we only watch as they die?" howled Zhu Yifeng painfully. In the distance, Goran, Xiachan, and the Dragonblood warriors didn't say anything but were clenching their fists tightly. They were also anxious. It had to be known that their enemy this time was the Emperor of the Netherworld, an existence whose name terrified the 9 heavens and 10 lands. That was a supreme existence. Even with their confidence in Long Chun, their hearts clenched. Long Chun, I don't want you to die with me. Don't die. Yu Qingxian held Long Chun and wept. On the other hand, Long Chun was calm and just held her. Suddenly, someone cried out, "The flower!" Only now did people realize that the strange flower that had bloomed behind Yu Qingxian was swaying. Some kind of force seemed to be affecting it. Suddenly, Long Chun reached out and grabbed one of the slender petals. Crack. What shocked everyone was that Long Chun actually managed to tear off the petal. What? Even more shocking, though, was that Long Chun then stabbed the petal into his own chest. Blood sprayed, and the petal entered his body. Long Chun, don't! Yu Qingxian screamed. She instantly realized what Long Chun was doing. The flower petal pierced Long Chun's body like a sharp blade, causing golden blood to gush out. As for the petal, it was like a piece of melting ice merging into Long Chun's body. Long Chun's entire body was shaking. He looked as if he was suffering unimaginable pain, but he did not hesitate to grab another petal. What is he doing? Yu Xiaoyun was bewildered. If Long Chun died, would Yu Qingxian wish to stay alive? Even if she lived, it would be a life worse than death for her. He is grafting the Nether Emperor's seal onto his own body. This foolish child. Jiang Huixin stared at Long Chun nervously. In order to save Yu Qingxian, Long Chun was throwing his own life away. But why bother? Would Yu Qingxian not follow him then? The next moment, Long Chun stabbed another petal into his body, and it once more quivered. However, Long Chun clenched his teeth and didn't make a sound. Long Chun, don't. If you die, what would be the point in me living? Don't be selfish. You still have Meng Qi, Chu Yao, Yi Zhiqiu, Tang Wan'er, and the others waiting for you, begged Yu Qingxian. She couldn't even move under the pressure of the Netherworld's laws, so she could only watch as Long Chun killed herself. Long Chun repeatedly plucked the petals and stabbed them into his body. The pain was something that he had never endured before. It was even more painful than refining his spirit. However, Long Chun didn't mind. After all, he had experienced something even more painful. The pain of seeing Yu Qingxian dying in front of him on the martial heaven continent was 1,000,000 times more painful. As Long Chun repeatedly stabbed the petals into his body, the hell flower gradually bloomed behind him. When he stabbed the final petal into his body, Yu Qingxian's body suddenly regained its freedom. Long Chun. Yu Qingxian urgently held onto Long Chun, fearing he might push her away. Her fear wasn't of death itself. Instead, it was the dread of living in a world without him. Qingxian, you have to trust me. I won't let you leave me, and I won't leave you, said Long Chun solemnly. Even though Long Chun did his best to control his voice, it was still hoarse due to the pain. Upon hearing it, Yu Qingxian's dried-out eyes once more overflowed. She gently rubbed Long Chun's face. It must be painful. It doesn't hurt. It's still within the realm that I can handle. But without you, the pain would be too much to live with, said Long Chun. Go. I'm going to ask the Nether Emperor what qualifications he has to dare to take my wife. Yu Qingxian hesitated but still nodded. If you fail, I will accompany you. Long Chun nodded. Only then did Yu Qingxian let go. Long Chun lightly pushed her, and she escaped the death chi. Jiang Huixin immediately caught Yu Qingxian. She wept, unable to say a single word. Yu Qingxian then comforted her mother, but her gaze was on Long Chun. Everyone's gaze was on him. All of them were anxious. Long Chun had been fighting for a long time and had basically exhausted himself. What was he going to bring out to fight a supreme existence like the Nether Emperor? Heaven and earth were deathly silent. The envoy from hell had stopped playing their music and just watched motionlessly. Long Chun floated slowly toward the massive palanquin. As he drew nearer, the curtain gradually parted with a cracking sound. The interior of the palanquin was engulfed in darkness, and a potent aura of the netherworld surged forth from it, making it resemble the gaping maw of a fearsome beast. With a deep breath, Long Chun slowly closed his eyes and began forming intricate hand seals. As he did so, the hell flower behind him trembled and then gradually merged into his body, as if becoming one with him. What is boss doing? Guoran was shocked. Long Chun was absorbing the hell flower? Would he ever be able to leave it after that? Even Yi Wuxing's pupils shrank when she saw that. Is he thinking of? Everyone was stunned. They didn't know what Long Chun was doing, or what he was thinking. Long Chen's left eye snapped open, and it was pitch black. Within that darkness, the image of the hell flower slowly appeared. After that, heaven and earth quivered as a giant illusory figure enveloped the entire envoy from hell. Purgatory eyes, hell flower bloom. Long Chun let out a furious roar that shook the world. Boom! When the hell flower bloomed, the envoy from hell, including the giants and palanquin, all exploded. He can control the power of hell? Even Yi Wuxing was taken aback by the sight. Her gaze fixed upon Long Chen's eye, and a glimmer of divine light flickered in her own eyes. However, what she was thinking remained a mystery. Long Chun. Yu Qingxian let out a pained cry. Long Chen's left eye was bleeding, and black blood was flowing out of it. Furthermore, after unleashing this pupil art, his entire face grew dark, as if his soul had been sucked away. Seeing Long Chun in such a state, Yu Qingxian felt as if her heart had been pierced. She could feel the immense sacrifice he was making for her sake. She was about to rush over to him when, all of a sudden, the hell gate in the sky erupted into a massive vortex, shaking the entire scene. The exhausted Long Chun was sucked into the vortex, and this sudden change made everyone cry out. Still nothing? Yi Wuxing clenched her dagger and stared tightly at the hell gate. Based on her calculations, someone should be appearing at this time. However, no one appeared, and Long Chun was instantly sucked into the heart of the vortex. On the other side was hell, so if the gate closed behind him, there was no coming out. Fuck! I'll risk it all. Long Chun suddenly spread his arms. The next moment, space quivered and a bronze cauldron appeared in his hands. Go fuck yourself, Nether Emperor. After Long Chun poured all his remaining energy into the bronze cauldron, he smashed it at the hell gate. This was Long Chen's final trump card. The dragon expert had told him not to use it, but he had nothing else and could only risk it. Boom! The hell gate exploded with a force that seemed to pierce the heavens themselves. When the explosion occurred, the runes on the bronze cauldron briefly lit up, and it flew back to Long Chun and disappeared. The hell gate was gone. However, the imprint of an ancient cauldron remained embedded in the void, not fading for a long time. This time, the heavens will be pierced. Looking at the imprint of this ancient cauldron, Yi Wuxing muttered to herself. The heavens had truly been pierced, and the imprint of the ancient cauldron was left in the sky. Cracks then spread through the dome of the heavens. Normally, the heavenly Daos would automatically repair themselves no matter how severe the damage they suffered. However, this time, it was as if the self-recovery abilities of the heavenly Daos had weakened. A net of cracks just hung in the air, and there was no sign of it healing. Looking at those giant cracks, people felt chills. Long Chun. Yu Qingxian charged over at Long Chun, who had lost consciousness. As he fell from the sky, Yu Qingxian caught him. Long Chun was covered in blood, and his eyes were closed shut. Black bloodstains still marred the skin beneath his left eye, emanating an aura of hellish darkness. However, Yu Qingxian didn't let the gruesome sight deter her. With great concern and affection, she tightly hugged Long Chun, her heart overwhelmed with emotion. Upon sensing that his spiritual strength was still present, she couldn't help but shed tears of relief and joy. Long Chun was still alive. A slender hand gently touched Long Chen's forehead, and Dong Mingyu appeared by his side. Usually, her expression was indifferent, but now it was filled with worry. After all, Long Chen's spiritual strength seemed to be hanging on, but the fluctuations were highly erratic. What troubled her even more was the presence of a sinister dark energy that was fiercely active within him. Master, Dong Mingyu looked at Yi Wuxing beseechingly. Yi Wuxing looked at Long Chun and then said, "He is fine." However, the power of hell isn't so easy to control. After using the power of hell to destroy the envoys, he had to pay a price for it. As for what the price is, only the future can tell. Anyway, he is now infected with the Nether Emperor's karma, and no one can say what will happen to him. Mingyu, we're leaving. Master, I want to. You'll have plenty of chances to reunite in the future. As your master, I promised that once you personally killed Imputa, I would pass my full legacy to you. Rather than wasting time here, you should be cultivating so that you have enough power to stay together longer, said Yi Wuxing. She then grabbed Dong Mingyu's hand and started walking away. Dong Mingyu kept looking back, her gaze heartbreaking, but ultimately, she chose to listen to her master. Suddenly, Yi Wuxing paused and looked back at everyone. When Long Chun wakes up, tell him to immediately leave the violet flame heaven. Large groups of experts will quickly come looking for him, and there might even be existences on my level. Yi Wuxing then pointed at the sky and told Yu Xiaoyun, this hole will not heal for at least 1,000 years. With the wall of the heavens broken, primal chaos chi will come out of it. If you want to strengthen your immemorial heroic spirit, do your best to create a formation around it. If you miss this chance, you will find others coming to take it from you. If that happens, the Vermilion Bird Empire will never recover. Many thanks, Senior. Yu Xiaoyun hastily bowed. He knew that this short-haired woman's origins were shocking. Yi Wuxing then waved her hand slightly. Without looking back, she vanished into the void while holding Dong Mingyu's hand. No one knew where they went. Activate the Grand Formation. Pour in all our resources to strengthen the Vermilion Bird's heroic spirit, shouted Yu Xiaoyun. Yi Wuxing was Dong Mingyu's master, and Dong Mingyu was close to Long Chun. Thus, Yu Xiaoyun was sure that Yi Wuxing wouldn't trick them. Once the Grand Formation activated, the dim capital once more lit up. At the same time, pillars of light soared out of certain places on the Vermilion Bird Empire's borders. The broken formations can be repaired? Yu Qianxue and the others were surprised. It had to be known that, on their way back here, they had personally seen the broken formations of the border cities. They only broke the fake formations that we set up to trick them. After all, we wanted to capture them all in one net and settle things once and for all. However, we didn't expect them to summon the Yansu Gate and the Hell Gate. If it weren't for Long Chun, we'd have lost, sighed Yu Xiaoyun. According to their original plan, Yu Xiaoyun had been 100% confident of crushing the 8 empires. After all, the Vermilion Bird Grand Formation's strongest technique had yet to be unleashed. If it was used, it would be enough to wipe out all their enemies, but that would also damage the Vermilion Bird Empire's foundation. Still, in his opinion, wiping out all their enemies and gaining countless years of peace was worth it. In the end, they could never unleash this technique because the Hell Gate had the ability to suppress the Vermilion Bird's heroic spirit. While the Vermilion Bird's power could combat the Yansu flames, it proved ineffective against the power of hell. This time, Long Chun not only rescued Yu Qingxian but also safeguarded the entire Vermilion Bird Empire, thereby saving countless lives among the common people. Yu Xiaoyun quickly gave some orders. Yunwen, Yifeng, Qianxue, Xiang, Fangyi, Changfeng, Qiwen, Xiefeng. The 8 of you lead 8 squads to the 8 empires. Seal off their cities and treasuries. Tell them that starting now, the names of the 8 empires are erased. All their territory belongs to the Vermilion Bird Empire. If anyone dares to dissent, execute them. Extraordinary circumstances require extraordinary measures. There is no reason to speak of. There are only your bloody weapons. As you order. Everyone immediately assented as they were all nursing a belly of fire. This time it had truly been dangerous. If it weren't for Long Chun, not a single soul from the Vermilion Bird Empire would have survived. With that in mind, they had no intention of being merciful or courteous toward their enemies. Also, Zhu Yunwen and the rest of the group realized that entrusting them with leading the troops was Yu Xiaoyun's way of acknowledging their outstanding performance in battle. The 8 of them then led the Vermilion Bird Empire's elites to the 8 empires. As the experts of the 8 empires had been decimated, this conquest posed no threat at all. All their city lords even came out and begged for mercy. Throughout the conquest of the 8 empires, the Vermilion Bird Empire faced minimal resistance. While there were sporadic dissenters, their absolute power obliterated any trace of opposition, leaving no room for defiance in the face of such overwhelming might. The treasures of the 8 empires were swiftly confiscated, becoming the resources of the Vermilion Bird Empire. With a newfound fervor, the empire focused on making the most of these riches. Moreover, Yu Xiaoyun and his companions were overjoyed to discover that the primal chaos chi emanating from the rift in the heavens had immensely positive effects on the Vermilion Bird's heroic spirit. With each passing day, its strength grew exponentially. If they were able to absorb this energy for 1,000 years, the Vermilion Bird Empire would become an unstoppable force, unafraid of any potential enemy. As the Vermilion Bird Empire got to work, Long Chun descended into endless darkness. Within this darkness, there was not the slightest sound nor the slightest light. There was only a deathly silence. However, within this darkness, Long Chun didn't feel the slightest bit nervous or afraid. Here he felt at peace, he felt safe. Just like he said, when he was most helpless, when he was most weary, the darkness enveloped him, sympathized with him and comforted him. Long Chun, the great 9-star heir, we've finally connected again. Within that darkness, an ancient voice rang out. That familiar voice was back. That ancient voice was something that Long Chun had heard many times. But even to this day he didn't know who it was. However, compared to the past, this voice was weaker, as if the speaker was lacking power now. "Are you injured?" asked Long Chun suddenly. "Injured? Can count as that. Communicating with you is very taxing. When you were still very weak, I had to use a great deal of time to transmit information to you. But as you grew stronger, I had to spend more energy to reach you through the monitoring of the heavenly Taos. Long Chun, you've done very well. You broke a star-peering heavenly mirror, causing millions of 9-star heirs to escape their watch. More of them will survive now," praised the ancient voice. "I broke one star-peering heavenly mirror? Are you saying that there's more than one?" asked Long Chun. "Yes, there were 9 star-peering heavenly mirrors, and you broke one," said the ancient voice. "Then where are the other 8? asked Long Chun. "The other 8 are in the hands of Lord Brahma's 8 great divine commanders." 8 great divine commanders? Long Chun's heart shook. Yi Wuxing had mentioned the 8 great divine commanders. Apparently, not even someone as powerful as Enputa was qualified to become one of them. In other words, all 8 of them were stronger than Enputa. In any case, your future path will be harder to traverse and longer. You are a 9-star heir. I hope dash. Suddenly, the dragon expert's voice rang out. There's no need for you to hope. Long Chun has his own path to walk, and he doesn't need the status of the 9-star heir to bind him. All things in this world have their own path, so Long Chun has the right to choose his own cultivation style. There's no need for you to worry about it. The dragon expert's voice was icy and definitely not courteous. Hearing this, the ancient voice was silent for a long time before replying. That is correct as well. Every person has the right to choose their own path. All I can ask is that you listen to your own heart. This ancient voice was not angered by the dragon expert's rude tone. Rather, it seemed to approve of it. Long Chun was shaken. The dragon expert and this mysterious elder were actually speaking within this dark world. Just what kind of existences were they? Long Chun could tell that the mysterious elder wanted to remind him that as a 9-star heir, the 9-star hegemon body art had to be his focus. However, during this time, Long Chun had been focusing on the Dragon Soul body forging art. As a result, the 9-star hegemon body art had not progressed at all, and his realm had not increased either, making it seem as if he had abandoned the 9-star hegemon body art. So the elder wanted to warn him. However, that drew the dragon expert's displeasure. The Dragon Soul body forging art was the technique that it was proudest of. For Long Chun to inherit, it was its greatest desire. Fortunately, the two of them did not start fighting. The dragon expert simply said, "You should focus on your own affairs. Take care of the other 9-star heirs. Long Chun has me here, so there's no need for you to worry." "Then many thanks," The elder's presence faded away. "Senior, who is that person?" asked Longchen. "He is the guide of the 9-star heirs. He is in charge of awakening you and guiding you down the path of the 9 stars as quickly as possible. However, you are different from other 9-star heirs. From the 5th star, you already deviated from the cultivation path, so your future path will need to be created by yourself. Listening to him won't benefit you. Furthermore, he's in trouble right now. Communicating with you will likely expose your position and put you in grave peril," said the dragon expert. "Senior, who is the Nether Emperor?" asked Longchen. The dragon expert was silent, seemingly hesitating. It finally said, "The Nether Emperor already died and is still in Nirvana. Just like Ghost Sovereign, he was slain by someone. Could it be?" "Yes, he was slain by the 9-star master. Just like the Ghost Sovereign, he possesses an undying body. Thus, even though his physical body was destroyed and his Yuan spirit extinguished, he can still be revived. As for the woman of the Nether Emperor, it is like being his daughter. Just like your Ghost Sovereign seal, it is a seed. These seeds will be reaped once they grow to a certain extent. As that girl possesses the Jili bloodline, it was sensed by the heavenly Daos when she was born. So, the seed of the Hellflower was planted in her. Originally, the Hellflower should have only bloomed when she became a world king. However, someone interfered, using a sacrificial ceremony to open the Hell Gate. The aura of Hell then triggered the Hellflower, causing the envoy to come. I originally thought that you would need me to interfere this time, but you dealt with it yourself. You used your purgatory eyes to seal the Hellflower and even learned a new divine technique from it. When the Hell Gate collapsed, I was going to seal it. But then I hesitated. Sometimes, helping you is actually harming you. Thus, when you used the cauldron, I didn't stop you. Your future path is already in so much chaos that even I cannot see through it. That is why your path should be walked by you alone." When Longchen was about to die, the dragon expert naturally wouldn't just watch. However, when Longchen used a pupil art to seal the Hellflower, the dragon expert felt that not helping Longchen was a better decision. "Senior, just what is this cauldron?" "There's no need for me to tell you. The news will quickly reach you, so you will know soon." After that, the dragon expert no longer spoke. Longchen sank into darkness. When he finally opened his eyes again, the first thing that entered his gaze was a pair of eyes red from crying. "Longchen!" Yu Qingxian immediately hugged Longchen, her tears spilling out. "No wonder people say women are made of water. You've cried so much that you got thinner. Stop crying. Aren't I fine? If you cry, you'll make me feel bad. I told you I wouldn't let you be hurt. If you're hurt, I'll feel powerless." Longchen rubbed Yu Qingxian's face guiltily, truly feeling powerless. Yu Qingxian had suffered a great deal this time. "I'm not crying. I'm smiling. You are so incredible that you even drove off the Nether Emperor. No one would dare to say that you are powerless." Yu Qingxian wiped away her tears and smiled, but she still couldn't stop more tears from spilling out. Longchen tightly hugged her and whispered into her ear, "Qingxian, trust me. I won't let anyone hurt you." Yu Qingxian finally stopped crying and immersed herself in his embrace, smelling his scent and feeling his warm embrace. There was no place that made her feel safer. Cough! Just then, a sound caused Yu Qingxian to hastily flee from Longchen's embrace. Longchen then saw Yu Xiaoyun, Jiang Huixin, and Su Lanxin walk in. That scene just now was witnessed by them, leaving everyone with awkward expressions. "Longchen, are you alright?" asked Jiang Huixin to resolve the awkward atmosphere. "It seems that he is fine." Before Longchen replied, Yu Xiaoyun was already answering for him. Of course, Longchen had to be alright, or how else could he hug his beloved daughter? Hearing this statement, Yu Qingxian reddened and Jiang Huixin glared at her husband. This fellow had promised her to talk nicely this time. How could he suddenly go back on his word? "Longchen, theoretically, since you just woke up, you still need to rest. But there is no time to rest anymore," said Jiang Huixin. Longchen nodded. "I understand. But my head still hurts. So let me just rest a bit and I'll go." Although Longchen hadn't heard Yi Wuxing's final remarks, He knew that using the bronze cauldron would cause trouble, even if only the Vermilion Bird Empire's people saw it. So what? With experts in the Empire numbering in the trillions, who could guarantee that there were no traitors among them? Thus, even if the Vermilion Bird Empire were to enter an information lockdown, it wouldn't be long before the news spread. Given the tremendous disturbance this time, Long Chen knew that the experts in this region would undoubtedly make inquiries. The shattered void in the sky served as a clear indicator of something major happening. So Long Chen realized that he couldn't stay in this place for long. Upon awakening, he promptly directed his attention toward recovering. He then felt gratified to find that his physical body was completely fine, instilling him with confidence that he wouldn't fear facing an earth venerate if the need arose. However, his soul felt somewhat hollow, and his head throbbed as if it were about to split open. The pain in his left eye was especially excruciating, and even with the eye patch gifted by Xiaola's mother, it felt as though sharp needles were relentlessly piercing into his eye. This pain felt like it was swelling, pulsing, and pulling at his soul. Seeing Long Chen like this, Yu Qingxian felt heartache for him. Long Chen was a man who never cried out in pain. So, for him to say that it was painful, it was definitely beyond imagination. Long Chen had acted fine upon waking up for her, but now the truth was revealed, so Yu Qingxian hastily took out a medicinal pill. When Long Chen saw the pill, he was startled. A peerless grade golden pill? This pill had golden marks flickering on top of it, moving across the surface. Also, the powerful medicinal energy was perfectly sealed within the pill, with not even a trace leaking. In the immortal world, medicinal pills had 3 classifications: spirit pills, treasure pills, and golden pills. Every one of them could be graded as low grade, middle grade, high grade, top grade, and peerless grade. Golden pills were the highest tier of pills that Long Chen had come into contact with. Furthermore, he could only refine 1 or 2 within 100 refinements. As for a peerless grade pill, that was something that Long Chen had never managed to refine, whether it was a spirit, treasure, or golden pill. This so-called peerless grade meant that there could only be one within heaven and earth. There could not be 2 identical peerless grade pills. Normally, if one peerless grade pill appeared, a second could not appear, unless the first one was consumed and vanished from this world. However, there was a more domineering method. If there was already a consummate grade pill in the world, someone who refined the same pill at the peerless grade would have to endure the baptism of heavenly tribulation to obtain the recognition of the heavenly Taos. Once the second pill received this recognition, then the first peerless grade pills would wither away and vanish from this world. In the end, only one peerless grade pill of this type could exist. Thus, refining a peerless grade pill was normally considered a great honor for an alchemist. Yu Qingxian, through sheer luck, had managed to refine a peerless grade pill, which sent waves through the entire alchemy world. It marked the first occurrence in many tens of thousands of years where a peerless grade pill was successfully refined. This is a soul-nourishing spirit-calming pill, and it just so happens that it can help with your injuries. You baddie, why didn't you say anything sooner? Rebuked Yu Qingxian. Long Chen had acted like he was fine when he first woke up. If he hadn't been pretending, she would have taken it out sooner. Upon looking at her reproachful gaze, Long Chen's heart warmed. Thus, he didn't argue and just tossed the pill into his mouth. The pill instantly melted, and a miraculous halo of light appeared above Long Chen's head. When that happened, the spiritual chi of heaven and earth was instantly sucked into it and poured into Long Chen's body. A peerless grade golden pill can use heaven and earth as the medicine. The legends really are true, praised Long Chen. The effect of a peerless grade golden pill was not limited to just a medicinal pill. Its medicinal energy could draw out the essence of heaven and earth to work with the medicinal pill's energy, unleashing a medicinal effect that surpassed people's imagination. Long Chen's injuries were severe this time, and the damage to his soul and eye was the most difficult to heal. Even with the primal chaos space's energy, he could only slowly heal them. But after consuming Yu Qingxuan's peerless grade golden pill, Long Chen felt immediate relief as his burning eye was refreshed, and the excruciating pain subsided. The splitting headache that had been plaguing him vanished almost instantly, leaving him feeling revitalized and full of energy. He then tore off his eye patch and opened his left eye, causing Yu Xiaoyun and the others' expressions to change. The hell flower in his left eye had yet to fully vanish. Upon seeing the hell flower in his eyes, their souls quivered. Still no good. My eye still hurts a bit, and I can't keep it open. But don't worry. I estimate that it will only take 3 to 5 days for it to heal. Long Chun felt very uncomfortable when he opened his left eye. It even teared up, so he put the eye patch back on. The peerless grade golden pill had instantly healed the wound to his soul, but its effect was limited against the purgatory eyes. After all, even the power of heaven and earth was not omnipotent. Afraid that Yu Qingxian would be disappointed, Long Chun hastily smiled and said, "A peerless grade golden pill really is amazing. Without it, my recovery would have taken at least half a year. But now I feel revitalized in no time." "Qingxian, you're amazing." Yu Qingxian was truly a bit disappointed. She had thought that this peerless grade golden pill would instantly heal Long Chun. But his praise did make her smile slightly. Jiang Huixin watched them with a smile. She then looked back at the gloomy Yu Xiaoyun and couldn't help sighing. Compared to Long Chun, Yu Xiaoyun didn't know how to make others happy. The feast was already prepared, and as Long Chan and the others walked into the venue, they were greeted with the utmost respect as everyone stood in reverence. Thinking back, when Long Chun had first come to the Vermilion Bird Empire to propose to Yu Qingxian, he had stirred anger among countless experts. Many saw him as a toad lusting after swan meat, an unworthy match for her. However, after the last battle, Long Chen's bravery and fearlessness had fully won them over. He was a true hero, and when they looked at him now, their eyes were full of reverence and gratitude. At the main table, there were 5 people: Yu Xiaoyun, Jiang Huixin, Su Lanxin, Long Chun, and Yu Qingxian. Everyone knew that this feast was more like a family gathering, as there was a bit less dignity to it and a bit more warmth. Guoran and the others were placed around the main table. This time, Long Chun wasn't stingy. He took out the blood fire sorghum wine that he had kept hidden all this time. When the blood fire sorghum wine appeared, Yu Xiaoyun's gaze instantly locked onto it. Yu Xiaoyun furiously cursed. "You little brat! As expected, you weren't sincere at all. You only bring out this wine now. Have you not heard that you don't release the hawk until you've seen the hare? You don't even know this," retorted Long Chen. "Bastard! You're calling me a hare?" Yu Xiaoyun turned red and glared at Long Chen. "Cough, that was a slip of the tongue. I just meant that if I took it out sooner, it would seem like I was bribing your majesty. That would be a blasphemy toward Qingxian. Instead, I use my true sincerity to win his majesty over and then bring out the wine as a celebration. Then it's an entirely different concept," explained Long Chun. "Humph. At least you know how to talk." Yu Xiaoyun's anger turned into a slight smile. "And what if you were unable to win me over? If I can't win you over, I'll trick you. If I can't trick, I'll steal. If I can't steal, I'll snatch. In any case, Qingxian will definitely be mine," said Long Chun fearlessly, causing Jiang Huixin and Su Lanxin to laugh. To be able to spout such shameless words as if they're natural and just, "I have never met anyone with such a thick face," snorted Yu Xiaoyun. "Thank you for your praise, your majesty. Many people say that I lived off of this face, but I just don't like relying on face to live. So what if I'm shameless? If you don't like it, come bite me." Long Chun raised his fist fearlessly, looking like he needed a beating. "You!" Don't get angry. It's just a joke. For us 2 brothers, no. For us 2 old men to drink together is a joyous occasion." Long Chun hastily opened one of the jugs of wine and poured it into Yu Xiaoyun's cup. The moment Long Chun undid the seal on the wine, everyone let out a startled cry. The fiery wine scent set people's blood ablaze. Just by smelling it, the flame energy within their body surged crazily as if it would explode. Could this be? Yu Xiaoyun's anger was instantly dispelled by this wine. Of course, if it wasn't top-grade blood fire sorghum wine, how could I bring it out for my father-in-law to drink? Long Chun was very pleased with its effect. Long Chun knew that this was Yu Xiaoyun's favorite wine. Prior to this, The best version of this wine that Yu Xiaoyun had ever tasted was a mere third grade. And even then, he had already hailed it as divine. As for the current blood-fire sorghum wine, being the 9th grade, it was personally crafted by a supreme expert of the wine god palace. The mere thought of indulging in such an exquisite and rare wine was beyond anything Yu Xiaoyun could have ever dared to dream. The wine exuded a rich, honey-like density and a captivating amber hue. Powerful flame fluctuations emanated from it, resembling the flow of molten lava. As the wine unleashed its beautiful divine light, it had a mesmerizing effect on people. Merely gazing upon it felt intoxicating, as if one could be enchanted by its mere sight. The current Yu Xiaoyun didn't even bother with Long Chen's pleased expression. He directly gulped the bowl of wine, feeling like roiling lava had been poured down his throat. When it reached his stomach, it erupted like a volcano, spreading a wave of heat throughout his body. In the end, it all gathered and condensed in his head. After drinking it, Yu Xiaoyun actually felt dizzy, like he had been sent into the clouds. At the same time, he felt like his bottleneck was loosening. "Good wine!" Yu Xiaoyun exclaimed delightedly. He had never experienced such fiery wine before, and the feeling of carefree bliss it brought was indescribable. "If it's good wine, drink some more." Long Chen smiled and poured another bowl for him. "Here, you drink too." Yu Xiaoyun seemed to become much friendlier. My injuries have yet to heal," said Long Chen hastily. He had drunk this wine before. This thing was fatal. At that time, he had only drunk the 7th grade of the blood-fire sorghum wine, and one gulp had made him collapse. If he were to drink a bowl of the top-grade wine now, he'd probably pass out. Then Yu Xiaoyun would definitely laugh at him. "Humph! Are you afraid of collapsing? How gutless! Are you fit to marry my daughter?" provoked Yu Xiaoyun disdainfully. "Your Majesty, Long Chen is still injured. It's not like you don't know," advised Jiang Huixin. "Huixin, don't help him speak. This brat is slippery enough. This wine is very beneficial to his wounds. If he doesn't drink it, it's obvious that he's just afraid," said Yu Xiaoyun. Being exposed, Long Chen was displeased. He could see that this father-in-law of his was planning on showing him who was boss before he left. "Then I'll accompany my father-in-law today." Long Chen raised his bowl. In the worst case, he would simply collapse and be dragged away. In any case, Xia Chen and Guoran were also here. There was nothing to fear. Long Chen fearlessly downed 3 bowls in a row with Yu Xiaoyun, and the intensity of their drinking left their eyes tinted blue. When they exhaled, flames spurted from their mouths, creating a breathtaking spectacle. Jiang Huixin and the others were taken aback by this sight, but couldn't help bursting into laughter at the fiery display. The blood-fire sorghum wine was so strong that they only dared to take small sips. Its power was immense. Even with just the small sips, they were starting to feel a bit lightheaded. After 3 bowls, Yu Xiaoyun's tongue loosened, and he patted Long Chen on the shoulder. "I really felt like you were an expert at vexing others at first. But now, I find that you're a super expert at pissing people off." Long Chen was no better off than him, as there was no way for him to suppress the wine energy. He looked at Yu Xiaoyun. "We're in the same boat. When I first saw you, I had to take a second look. You didn't look that great. But after looking more closely, I realized that I shouldn't have taken a second look." Everyone else was speechless after hearing their slurred words. No one dared to say anything, and even the old patriarch acted like he didn't hear this. Yu Qingxian was also holding a jug of the blood-fire sorghum wine, pouring it for her seniors. This wine was so precious and powerful that everyone only took the tiniest sips. On the other hand, Long Chen and Yu Xiaoyun instantly drank 3 bowls of it. They were red in the face, and even their words were no longer clear. Yu Xiaoyun patted Long Chen's shoulder. "Brother, in the future, I entrust Qingxian to you." "Big brother, don't worry. Junior brother's love for Qingxian is beyond the sun and moon," swore Long Chen. "Good. Then I'm at ease. Cheers. The 2 of you should stop drinking now. You've even messed up your seniorities." Jiang Huixin hastily grabbed their wine bowls. If these 2 kept drinking, they might do something really embarrassing. With his wine bowl gone, Yu Xiaoyun once more patted Long Chen's shoulder. My dislike for you was just a dislike for anyone who wanted to take Qingxian from my side. Qingxian, she is a good child. She's smart and kind, but the more a child is smart and obedient, the less attention they get. By the time that I wanted to make it up to her, there was no longer a chance. I'm not fit to be a father. You little brat, you have to treat her well. Yu Xiaoyun actually began to sob. It was unknown if it was because he was drunk, but the words hidden in his heart were directly revealed. Dad. Yu Qingshuan's eyes reddened with emotion. Suddenly Yu Xiaoyun staggered. No longer able to endure the wine, he collapsed. Jiang Huixin hastily caught him and ordered people to bring him to his room to rest. Jiang Huixin then looked from Yu Xiaoyun to all the princes and princesses. In truth, His Majesty loves all of you. However, he is the ruler of this empire, so he could not give you the same familial love that commoners enjoy. As your father and mother, we feel very bitter about it. We see everything that you've done, but the burden on our shoulders does not allow us to enjoy certain things. Jiang Huixin also teared up. Even as an empress, she felt powerless when it came to many things. His Majesty doesn't wish for Qingxian to marry out of the family, but more than that, he wishes for Qingxian to be happy. Since His Majesty isn't present, let me carry out this wedding ceremony for Qingxian, said Jiang Huixin. No, I don't want a wedding. Yu Qingxian suddenly objected, startling everyone. Qingxian, you? Long Chen was startled. Yu Qingshuan's words made him sober up a bit. Long Chen, I know that you love me, but I can't be selfish. If big sister Meng Qi treats me this well, how can I marry you here? What about big sister Meng Qi and the others? Said Yu Qingxian softly. But. There's no buts. Big sister Meng Qi wants you to marry me, but I know that big sister Meng Qi is the heart of your heart. I would be letting down big sister Meng Qi if I were to marry you like this. You know that I don't care about ranking. All I want is to be at peace. Yu Qingshuan's voice was soft but firm. Long Chen was moved, but he also felt guilty. Yu Qingxian was advocating for him, while Meng Qi was advocating for Yu Qingxian. The love of such women was something difficult to repay even if he tore apart his own body. This feast was originally prepared for Yu Qingxian. Since they didn't have much time, it was supposed to be a simple wedding ceremony. However, Yu Qingxian actually rejected this wedding, so Jiang Huixin could only end things here. After the simple feast, Yu Qingxian was sent off by Jiang Huixin and the others. She then joined Long Chen at the transportation formation. Qingxian, I know that we can't keep you here. Your father and I know that an eagle must one day spread their wings and fly away from the nest. But no matter how far or high you fly in the future, remember that when you're tired, you will always have a home in the Vermilion Bird Empire. Jiang Huixin held Yu Qingshuan's hands with teary eyes. She knew that once Yu Qingxian left, she would be like a kite whose string was cut. It was unknown whether they would even meet again in this life. As her mother, Jiang Huixin was even more unwilling to part with her daughter. Mom, forgive your child for being unfilial. Yu Qingxian was also crying. She also didn't want to leave her mother. All right, good child, look after yourself. Go. Jiang Huixin knew that this would only make leaving harder for Yu Qingxian. Hence, she wiped away her tears and sent them to the transportation formation. Don't worry, I will definitely look after Qingxian, promised Long Chen. Jiang Huixin nodded and waved her hand, bidding them farewell. After that, Guoran, Xiachen, and all the Dragonblood warriors stepped onto the transportation formation as well. Yu Qianxue, Zhu Yunwen, Zhu Yifeng, and the others all waved goodbye to Long Chen. They thought back to how they had barged through the trial by fire with him. They thought of how they had fought alongside him. They didn't want him to leave, but they knew that Long Chen was a dragon, and the Vermilion Bird Empire was too small to contain him. Perhaps even the entire violet flame heaven was too small. He had to soar in an even vaster sky. The transportation formation glowed once more before Long Chen and the others vanished. Once they were gone, Jiang Huixin finally couldn't hold back her tears. I'm sorry. I'm a coward to have made you endure this. You didn't deserve it. Just then, an apologetic voice rang out. It was Yu Xiaoyun. Only then did people realize that he hadn't truly passed out from the wine. He simply didn't have the courage to watch as Yu Qingxian left. They all felt bitter about having Yu Qingxian leave them as a child. Amongst all their children, they owed Yu Qingxian the most, but they could only give her the least. Since they couldn't give her anything, they could only endure the pain of letting go and letting her pursue her own happiness. As long as she was happy, they could endure any pain. Xiaoyun. Jiang Huixin directly fell into Yu Xiaoyun's embrace and wept. Yu Xiaoyun then comforted her. Looking at the empty transportation formation, he sighed. Raising a daughter is like growing a flower. You protect it, water it, and nourish it. In winter, you worry about the cold, and in summer, you worry about the sun. But when she one day grows up, she is taken by a bastard called a son-in-law. Suddenly, Yu Xiaoyun turned toward Yu Qianxue and the other princesses. All of you, remember, my daughters can only marry in, not out. I don't want to see any shameless bastards like Long Chan again. All the princesses, including Yu Qianxue, looked at each other in baffled silence. From the start, the Vermilion Bird Empire's princesses had never married out. No? The void quivered. The scenery before Long Chan and the others then changed as they appeared in a barren wasteland. The Vermilion Bird Empire had sent them off on a transportation formation with no fixed node. That way, no one would be able to tell where they had gone based on the spatial fluctuations. Boss, are we really leaving just like that? We just did something that shook the 9 heavens. We should bask in that glory, grumbled Guoran. It had to be known that Guoran had truly shown off a brilliant light this time. On the battlefield, he had led the Dragonblood Legion in killing many Earth Venerates. Now was his time to become famous, but instead he was silently running away. He was a bit unwilling to accept that. At the very least, he had to let others know what he looked like. Can you grow up a bit? Did you not see how serious Senior Yi Wuxing was when she warned us? An expert on her level might come to find boss. What are we going to use to stop someone like that? Scolded Xiaqin. Guoran simply had to let the world know about everything he did, or he would never settle down. He was just like Mo Nian. But Mo Nian didn't bother intentionally announcing himself. His fame was built up through his own abilities. Do you think that you won't have a chance to make a name for yourself when you follow me? The main thing is that taking out the bronze cauldron at the end probably poked the bear's nest, said Long Chun. Even the dragon expert had told him not to use the cauldron, or countless terrifying existences would hunt him down. Yi Wuxing had said the same thing. She clearly recognized its origins, which was why she wanted Long Chun to quickly leave. Boss, just what is this bronze cauldron from the 3,000 worlds? I flipped through all the ancient records that I could access, but I didn't find anything about it, said Guoran. How would I know? Retorted Long Chen. Buzz. Just then, a jade tablet on Long Chen's waist flashed rapidly. Looking at it, he was delighted. It was the Huayun Trading Company's message. However, when he read the message, his expression stiffened, and shock gradually filled his face. Boss, what is it? Asked Guoran hastily. Long Chun didn't reply and simply handed the tablet to Guoran. Xia Chen impatiently stepped forward to take a look. One of the 10 great primal chaos divine items, the Heaven-Earth Cauldron, appeared within the Vermilion Bird Empire, shattering the dome of the heavens as well as the 10,000 Das. Its chi is Yin and its character is soft, so it is suspected to be the Earth Cauldron of the Heaven-Earth Cauldron. This information has already spread and shaken the 9 heavens. Seek asylum as quickly as possible. Primal Chaos Divine Item, the Heaven-Earth Cauldron? Everyone was completely shocked by this. When they saw the message from the Huayun Trading Company, even Long Chun was shocked. Although he knew that this cauldron's origins would be astonishing, he didn't expect it to be one of the 10 great Primal Chaos Divine Items. The Primal Chaos Divine Items were the strongest divine weapons of the 9 heavens and 10 lands. There were only 10 of them, and Long Chun only knew that one of them was the Grand Xia Dragon Sparrow. Xia Guhong had the Grand Xia Dragon Sparrow's karmic luck supporting him, Thus, when he used a trace of its power, he was unstoppable. And that was only a trace of its karmic luck, not the true Grand Xia Dragon Sparrow. But it was enough to terrify countless people. As for this bronze cauldron in Long Chen's hands, it was also one of the 10 great primal chaos divine items. Furthermore, it was the actual item, not just some karmic luck. Wait, what does it mean, the Earth Cauldron? Asked Guoran, rereading the message. The Heaven-Earth Cauldron is probably 2 cauldrons, the Earth Cauldron and the Heaven Cauldron. Only when they are merged together are they the true Heaven-Earth Cauldron. This must be the Earth Cauldron, said Long Chen. However, even he couldn't say anything for sure, as he didn't have further knowledge of the 10 great primal chaos divine items, let alone the others. If that's true, who knows how many people will come after you, said Xiachen heavily. TCH, what's there to be afraid of? Anyone who dares to come, will kill. Guoran brandished his sabers obstinately. This battle had caused Guoran's confidence to inflate. These 2 sabers of his were made with the divine weapons he had smelted in the underground tomb of the 3,000 worlds. It could be said that his current equipment was as valuable as an entire city, and it embodied his greatest techniques. With this battle armor, he could even fight Wang Taibei alone, so it could be seen just how powerful he was. Boss, what do we do now? Asked Xiachen. Long Chen thought for a moment. Did you finish what I asked you to do? It's done. In 3 more days, the formations should stealthily activate. The 3 branch academies will be revitalized, and the High Firmament Academy's experts will be able to cross heavens, said Xiachen. When Long Chen and the others left the 3,000 worlds, he had told Xiachen and Guoran to stealthily activate the 3 branch academies of the High Firmament Academy in the Violet Flame Heaven. Long Chen knew that Enputa, Liao Binsong, and the others' focus would definitely be on him. He would then draw their attention, giving Xiachen and Guoran a high chance of success. However, Long Chen hadn't expected Enputa to be so treacherous. The latter had actually used Liao Binsong as bait and sacrificed him to open the Hell Gate. Thus, Long Chen almost died this time. Fortunately, just as Long Chen planned, with Enputa and Liao Binsong focusing on him, Xiachen and Guoran managed to find the foundation stones of the branch academies and stealthily set up formations. The formations would merge with the foundation stones. It would take some time to awaken them, but once they did, the High Firmament Academy would instantly sense it. However, this was the Violet Flame Heaven, while the High Firmament Academy was in the Dark Light Heaven. They were in different heavens, and the border of the heavens was tough. Thus, the amount of energy needed to awaken the foundation stones was much greater. If it was Long Chen, he definitely wouldn't be able to pull it off. However, it was nothing difficult for Xiachen. 3 days? We can't wait for that. The Huayun Trading Company's information network is the fastest and most accurate. Although the Vermilion Bird Empire has locked down the information, there is no such thing as an impervious wall. If the Huayun Trading Company has received this information, the other major powers will soon receive it as well. We have to leave here within 1 day, or we might not be able to leave, said Long Chen. The Huayun Trading Company's information network was top tier. However, the other major powers also wouldn't be lacking in this regard. In particular, the Soaring Dragon Company had a deep enmity with Long Chen, so they would definitely spread this information as quickly as they could so that everyone knew. After all, the appearance of the Heaven-Earth Cauldron would definitely drive countless experts crazy, to the extent that even experts on Yi Wuxing's level would come. Although Long Chen was confident in himself, he wasn't so crazy as to think that he was unrivaled. Now that the news had leaked, he had to leave. Should we ask for the protection of the Wine God Palace? Proposed Guoran. Long Chen shook his head. Since when did our Dragonblood Legion rely on others to survive? Furthermore, considering how major this matter is, not even the Wine God Palace might be able to stop it. We can't implicate them. The Wine God Palace had graced Long Chen with their favor, especially Xia Guhong. He had treated Long Chen like a brother, so how could Long Chen cause trouble for him? Let's go. We'll go to the Heavenly Boundary River. We're leaving the Violet Flame Heaven, said Long Chen. The Heavenly Boundary River was how Long Chen had entered the Violet Flame Heaven. Who would have thought that he would be leaving through it again after staying in the Violet Flame Heaven for just a while? Then are we going to the Nirvana overflow heaven? It's even stronger than the violet flame heaven. Guoran was excited. Yes, we're going to an even vaster world. Long Chun took a deep breath. The Nirvana overflow heaven was even more perfectly preserved than the violet flame heaven. As its inheritances ran deep, the experts there were even stronger. Furthermore, the stronghold of the Long Outyen's Long clan was located there. In other words, going to the Nirvana overflow heaven would bring him one step closer to his father. Long Chun was nervous when he thought about that. He had no idea how his father was. When it came to his mother, he hadn't gained that much information, but he knew that with Luo Zichuan present, her life was not in danger. Luo Zichuan was a smart man. If he refused to tell Long Chun the situation with his mother, he had to have his own reasons. Long Chun also refused to believe that his grandfather would harm his mother. Thus, compared to his mother, he was more worried about his father. From the start, after dealing with Qingshuan's matter, he had been thinking of going to the Nirvana overflow heaven to find his father. Even if he hadn't exposed the heaven-earth cauldron, he would still be in a rush to go there. Ha ha ha, excellent. That fellow Emonyen said that he would go to the Nirvana overflow heaven after leaving the 3,000 worlds. Now, we can see who can make a name for themselves there first. Guoran laughed excitedly. Who cares about making a name? He either couldn't continue running where he was, or there were too many people who wanted to kill him, or he ran out of tombs to dig up, said Long Chun disdainfully. He truly understood Emonyen far too well. Let's go. As Long Chun waved his hand, Xiachan summoned their newly built flying boat. The curtain of the heavens was like rippling water, and the flying boat merged into the void just like that, vanishing without a trace. The violet flame heaven was engulfed in turmoil, as word spread like wildfire about the discovery of a primal chaos divine item. Countless ancient monsters that could be considered living fossils came out, and a relentless armada of battleships charged toward the violet flame heaven, echoing with the thunderous roars of terrifying beasts. The world trembled in the face of this unprecedented upheaval. Practically every major force sent people over. After all, the primal chaos divine items had the secrets of the primal chaos era on them. Whoever could obtain them would obtain the karmic luck of a primal chaos divine item. For example, Xia Guhong had obtained the Grand Xia Dragon Sparrow many years ago. Although the Grand Xia Dragon Sparrow vanished later on, just the trace of its karmic luck that resided within Xia Guhong was enough for him to terrify countless experts. As for when Long Chun used the Earth Cauldron, there was no karmic luck support. In other words, the Earth Cauldron had yet to truly accept him as master, and anyone could still take it. As a result, Long Chun became a thick piece of meat eyed by many hungry wolves. Everyone knew that if they themselves weren't strong enough, even if they obtained the Earth Cauldron, they wouldn't be able to keep it. To make it worse, they might even bring calamity upon their sect. However, they all believed in luck. If they could really become the master of the Earth Cauldron, they would be unmatched in this world. In any case, throughout the entire violet flame heaven, everyone was talking about Long Chun. They even dug out his background. When they learned that he was the High Firmament Academy's youngest branch dean, they were startled. After that, they were even further stunned by his list of impressive wins in combat. However, the shock was just an initial reaction. In front of the allure of the Earth Cauldron, people were willing to even throw away their lives. Nothing could deter them from pursuing this captivating and dangerous quest. Rumble. A fiery warhorse the size of a mountain tore through the void, akin to a bolt of lightning shooting through the air. Wherever it went, it left behind a path of fire that even space was burning. It was a terrifying sight. Damn, that warhorse's aura is much stronger than a three-flower earth venerate. Was it on the level of a heaven venerate? A flying boat was hidden in the void. If Xiachan had not reacted quickly and slowed them down, they might have been struck by that fiery warhorse. Guoran was stunned. Don't worry. Now is your time to make a name for yourself. You can chase after it and kill the person on the back of the horse, claiming it for yourself, said Xiachan. Are you being serious? Guoran jumped in fright. Didn't you say that you wanted to make a name for yourself? Asked Xiachan innocently. Fuck! Good brother, don't undermine me like this, exclaimed Guaran with embarrassment. He had to swallow back what he had said before. The main thing was that Guaran had not thought that the cauldron would possess such a terrifying background. If he had known that it would draw out such terrifying existences, he wouldn't have bragged so much. This might be a bit troublesome. Long Chun looked in the direction the warhorse went and turned a bit solemn. It really is a bit troublesome, nodded Xiachun. What is troublesome? Can you not leave everyone else standing there like fools? Asked Guaran, looking at Long Chun and Xiachun. Look where they're going? That's the direction of one of the ferry crossings of the Heavenly River. Although it's not the ferry crossing that we're going on, this means that the other crossing points must have similar existences guarding them. They are really fast. We won't be able to leave before they lock down all the exits. If we go now, we'll be going straight to them, explained Xiachun. I don't think that's all. If they can seal the exits, they probably won't let us reach the Heavenly River's shore. However, considering how large the Heavenly River is, they cannot lock down the entire thing. We can only take the risk of crossing the Heavenly River through somewhere else, said Long Chen. But the Heavenly River is filled with dangers. It is home to devil beasts and demonic creatures, and straying from the main path might lead one into a giant horde of them. And there are terrifying fiend eyes that can devour us all in a single glance. I've also heard of the tales of floating corpses that appear on the Heavenly River. Those unfortunate enough to encounter those corpses are beset by ill fortune, said Yu Qingxian. Within the 9 heavens there was the Heavenly River, the Nether Sea, and the Fiend Lake. In truth, they were all one thing. It was just that every place had a different name for it. The Heavenly River referred to the border between heavens. Also, the wall between the 9 heavens was very thick and could be likened to several star fields layered on top of each other. However, some people also said that this space was just a fake concept. According to them, the distance between heavens was as thin as a piece of paper. It was just that when people tried to cross this paper, they had to go through its entire length and not its width. They said that in the immemorial era, peak experts could directly cross the Heavenly River and enter a new heaven at will. However, most people felt like this story was impossible. The laws of the Heavenly River restricted a person's power, so either the legends were fake or the immemorial era's Heavenly River had different laws from the present. In any case, within verifiable records, there was no one capable of simply crossing the Heavenly River at will. Thus, anyone who wanted to cross heavens would obediently use the ferry crossings. There were also several comparatively safe shipping routes. Crossing the Heavenly River outside of those areas was no different from courting death. Even those so-called safe shipping routes could have dangers come upon them. Thousands of ferries would mysteriously vanish each year, leaving a trail of uncertainty in their wake. Yet, going outside of those areas was even more dangerous. The odds of someone reaching the other shore using those alternative paths were too low. I'm not worried. I always do things like this, said Long Chun with a smile. He had the Ghost Sovereign's mark, so the fiend eyes would ignore him. As for the rest, he wasn't afraid of them. Yu Qingxian smiled and didn't say anything again, as she had the utmost confidence in Long Chun. If Long Chun said that he wasn't worried, then there was nothing to fear. Thus, Xiachun had the flying boat slowly fly to the border of the Heavenly River. On the way, they saw countless experts going back and forth. Even the weakest of those experts were 3-flower earth venerates. There were also some young experts. Although they were young, their auras were shocking, so their power was probably not inferior to Kuan 2. Clearly, the senior generation had gone crazy, and even the new generation of heavenly geniuses was drawn into it. Their ambition extended far beyond merely obtaining the Earth Cauldron. They were driven to surpass Long Chun and etch their names in history for all to remember. Everything went as Long Chun expected. Countless experts gathered around the Heavenly River, seeming to have calculated that Long Chun would definitely leave the Violet Flame Heaven. 3 days later, Long Chun had fully recovered and still had an eye patch on, but it wouldn't affect him in combat. At this time, Xiachun's flying boat slowly reached their crossing point. However, once they got close, Xiachun's expression changed. The ferry crossing that they wanted to use to cross the Heavenly River was blocked. Boss, there is a barrier up ahead. We will definitely be noticed if we try to go through it. What do we do? Asks Yachin. Charge. If gods block us, we will kill gods. If devils block us, we will kill devils, said Long Chun, battle intent burning in his eyes. Boom! When the flying boat touched the barrier, the void quivered. The giant barrier was instantly pierced, and at the same time, countless spatial gates opened. Ha ha ha! When that arrogant laughter rang out, countless figures flew out of the spatial gates, surrounding Long Chen's flying boat. The heavens really do look after my soaring dragon company. Could it be that this was all foreordained? Long Chun, you destroyed so many of my branches, but today, you've brought me the earth cauldron. Excellent. Hand over the earth cauldron, and I'll let you live. At this moment, an elder with white hair and a beard blocked their path. In the wake of his arrival, heaven and earth rumbled, and a powerful pressure descended upon the scene. His voice was so powerful that it left people in a state of daze. A heaven venerate. They were so unlucky. The random spot that they chose actually had a heaven venerate standing guard over it. This elder's pressure alone was incredibly powerful, countless times stronger than an earth venerate. Now, they could see that the difference between an earth venerate and a heaven venerate was very great. They were fearless toward earth venerates, but against heaven venerates, they were like ants. To make it even worse, other than this white-haired elder, over 23 flower earth venerates were surrounding Long Chun and the others as well, leaving them with no chance to escape. Don't resist, shouted one of them. Of course, my bad luck never fails me. Just my luck to stumble upon the soaring dragon company again, muttered Long Chun, a wry smile crossing his face as he looked at the experts of the soaring dragon company. He then slammed his hands together and summoned a flash of golden light. Dragon King Battle Armor. Amidst a resounding dragon cry, the sacred might of a dragon surged forth, shattering the oppressive pressure wielded by a heaven venerate. Cloud Dragon Immolation Claw. Long Chun didn't dare to hold back in the slightest against a heaven venerate. Thus, he instantly started with his strongest trump cards. A dragon claw then reached out of his divine ring toward the soaring dragon company's heaven venerate. A dragonfly trying to shake a tree. It is laughable that you don't know your own power. As a heaven venerate, heaven and earth are me, and I am heaven and earth. A little immortal king like yourself thinks that you can defy the heavens. The heaven venerate simply sneered and formed hand seals. The next moment, the 10,000 Daos rumbled, and primal chaos chi flowed into a barrier in front of him. Boom! Long Chen's giant dragon claw smashed into the barrier, causing the void in millions of miles to crack like a mirror. It was like the entire world was shattered by this attack. However, Long Chen's expression changed. With this attack, he had figured out the secret of the heaven venerate realm. He also knew why divine venerates were split into mortal, earth, and heaven venerates. A mortal venerate's power came from themselves, and an earth venerate borrowed the power of the 10,000 Daos. However, a heaven venerate was different. They were existences that had merged with heaven and earth. Thus, to fight a heaven venerate was akin to fighting heaven and earth. Having merged the three flowers into one, there was no longer a distinction between them and the world. Therefore, a heaven venerate was the true master of any world that they went to. If Long Chun wanted to beat one, he had to have the power to destroy an entire world. At this moment, Long Chen's aura made the heavenly Daos rumble, causing the cracks in the void to constantly heal and break. Those earth venerates were unable to even get close to him and were forced back, coughing up blood. They were shocked. The current Long Chun was even stronger than what the rumors said. The soaring dragon company's heaven venerate was also shocked. How powerful! But even so, how can you fight heaven and earth? Just hand over the earth cauldron. Seeing how talented you are, I can make an exception and accept you as Dash. Just then, an arrow appeared right in front of him and pierced straight through his heavenly Dao defense. Seeing it, he jumped in fright and hastily extended a hand. Boom! The arrow exploded on his palm, causing the heaven venerate's expression to change. This arrow might have broken through his barrier, but it didn't possess any actual killing power. In other words, even if he had allowed the arrow to reach his face, it wouldn't harm him at all. His hasty block was just an instinct. Just as he had a bad feeling, Long Chen's dragon claw pressed down, and due to the distraction, his barrier shattered. Boom! The sharp claw raked through his barrier and struck his body. When it reached him, divine light erupted from his body. The elder was blown into the distance, but he didn't seem injured. When merged with heaven and earth, you can borrow the power of heaven and earth to attack and defend. To kill a heaven venerate, you must possess the ability to destroy the power of heaven and earth. Long Chen's heart shook. He had figured out the power of a heaven venerate. In order to kill one, you would need to be able to shatter heaven and earth. Otherwise, it was useless. However, this heaven venerate still felt his blood flipping inside of him from being struck. Long Chen's sacred energy had given him a great deal of pressure. Thus, he felt shocked and enraged. It was said that all those beneath heaven venerates were ants and that the heaven venerate realm was a dividing line within the cultivation world. All those who could fight across realms ended up failing when it came to the heaven venerate realm. No matter how strong the earth venerate was, they still wouldn't be qualified to challenge a heaven venerate. However, a little immortal king like Long Chen actually possessed such immense power. The elder was in disbelief. Long Chen's potential was too terrifying. If they allowed him to grow up, he might become a legendary existence. Heaven and earth displacement. Strip away the 10,000 laws. Condense the formation. Suddenly, thousands of talismans surrounded that heaven venerate. Following Xia Chen's shout, the talismans ignited. The heaven venerate's expression completely changed as he found himself cut off from all of heaven and earth. He instantly realized that Xia Chen's formation had temporarily cut him off from the world. With this, he wouldn't be able to rely on the power of heaven and earth to fight. Dragon Blood Cross/. In an instant, the power of all the Dragon Blood warriors poured into Guoran. Guoran and Xia Chen's combination was perfect. Just as the formation took effect, the Dragon Blood Cross/ fell. The heaven venerate roared, "Ignorant brats! Do you really think that a heaven venerate without the power of heaven and earth is like a fish outside of water?" As he formed hand seals, a strange flower appeared behind him, possessing only 3 colorful petals and lacking any stamens. When they spun, he unleashed a punch. Boom! The Dragon Blood Cross/ exploded. The attack containing all the power of the Dragon Blood warriors, an attack that could instantly slay an earth venerate, was unable to stop an attack from a heaven venerate. Divine Dragon Pendulum Tail. Just after the heaven venerate destroyed the Dragon Blood Cross/, Long Chen's leg whipped out, and a giant dragon tail whistled toward him. You dash! The heaven venerate was enraged. Long Chen and the others' attacks were combined perfectly, giving him no chance to breathe. He had just used the power of his manifestation to shatter the Dragon Blood Cross/ when another powerful attack came from Long Chen. He now realized that everything beforehand had been preparation for this one attack. Most infuriating of all, he had no way to stop it anymore. Boom! The impact sent Grand Dao runes flying through the air. When the sound of bones breaking rang out, that heaven venerate hacked up blood and shot back like a shooting star. 2 unlucky fellows were struck by his body and blown apart. After all, earth venerates were simply unable to endure that terrifying power. Let's go! Long Chen was a bit pale. To unleash 2 of his ultimate attacks in such a short time was extremely taxing to him. His body wasn't quite able to endure it. You want to leave? Leave behind the earth cauldron first. Boom! Suddenly, the void quivered, and a giant claw crashed down toward Long Chen and the others. Long Chen's expression changed, so there had been another heaven venerate hidden in the surroundings. As the claw fell, a burst of demonic chi erupted. They couldn't see the attacker, but from that giant claw, they could tell that it was a heaven venerate from the demonic beast race. You dare to steal from my soaring dragon company, courting death. At this moment, The soaring dragon company's heaven venerate rose. His injury was not light, but he still roared when he saw someone come to take what was his. Still, it was too late for him to rush over. Clearly, this demonic beast heaven venerate had been lying in wait for a long time just for this opportunity. Long Chen's emotions swirled with a mix of shock and fury. He had the urge to smash this fellow with the earth cauldron, but he was also afraid that they had come prepared and were baiting him into using it. After all, Long Chen knew little about the earth cauldron. If others had a method to restrain it or instantly become its master, he would lose it. However, he had no other choice at this time. His blood chi was still fluctuating wildly from unleashing those 2 previous attacks, so he couldn't unleash another attack without some time to recover. Clenching his teeth, Long Chen stopped caring about his misgivings. As Long Chen readied himself to strike back with the earth cauldron, an unexpected turn of events unfolded. The void suddenly tore open, and a brilliant flash of saber light sliced through it with unparalleled precision, like a divine stroke. The formidable giant claw, which seemed indomitable a moment ago, was no match for the overwhelming power of the saber light. It was sliced apart with astonishing ease, as if it were no more than soft tofu. Blood then gushed forth, creating a crimson shower, accompanied by a gut-wrenching shriek that pierced the air. The Grand Xia Dragon Sparrow, Xia Guhong Yu, the demonic beast roared furiously, but his words were cut short, becoming indistinct as fear gripped him. The sight of the Grand Xia Dragon Sparrow had struck terror into his heart, and he could no longer bear to face such a formidable opponent. On the other hand, Long Chen was delighted. He hadn't expected Xia Guhong to take action at this critical time. With the attack that destroyed the claw of that demonic beast, he also cut open a gulch in heaven and earth, blocking the heaven venerate of the soaring dragon company. "We're leaving." Long Chen knew that Xia Guhong had created this opportunity for him. With Xia Chen and the others, they got on the flying boat and whistled away, rapidly vanishing. Long Chen and the others had just fled when the void repeatedly exploded behind them. One terrifying aura after another appeared as multiple heaven venerates were arriving, but they were one step too late. Long Chen had already fled. These heaven venerates then looked at the endless heavenly river and hesitated. In the end, no one dared to enter the heavenly river. The legends were that the higher your cultivation base, the more likely you would provoke some terrifying existence in the depths of the heavenly river. Perhaps immortal kings and world kings would have some chance of survival, but a heaven venerate essentially had no chance of coming out alive. Let alone entering the unexplored parts of the heavenly river. Even if they were to use the safer shipping routes, heaven venerates would often face blockades. They would end up being targeted by terrifying existences within the heavenly river, and once they did, the other people with the heaven venerate would have difficulty fleeing. The heavenly river was a place that caused even heaven venerates to feel fear. Thus, even the allure of the earth cauldron could not make them take the risk of entering. They still had no idea where Long Chen was going. If he were to just run around randomly in the heavenly river, they would definitely draw out some terrifying existences. "Xia Guhong, what do you think you're doing?" The soaring dragon company's heaven venerate roared furiously, but no one replied. Xia Guhong did not appear in the end. However, an attack that cut through the body of a heaven venerate as easily as tofu and tore open a spatial restriction that could not be crossed was definitely not something that could be done with an ordinary divine weapon. As primal chaos chi still hung in the air, everyone could tell who had attacked. It had to be Xia Guhong, who possessed the Grand Xia Dragon Sparrow's karmic luck. While the rumor was that the Grand Xia Dragon Sparrow had vanished, a trace of its karmic luck remained on Xia Guhong. It was said that this trace of karmic luck was enough for him to unleash 3 attacks. After 3 attacks, he would need to recuperate for a long time to recover that karmic luck. Back in the violet flame heaven, Xia Guhong had used the might of the Grand Xia Dragon Sparrow to intimidate all his enemies. He said that each attack would definitely take one of their lives. At the time, no one had dared to test him. Now that the Grand Xia Dragon Sparrow's divine might reappeared, although it was just a trace of the power of its karmic luck, it was enough to stop them. Xia Guhong didn't speak or appear, but that simple attack was enough to stop these heaven venerates in their tracks. However, as a result of this, these people were all filled with hatred for Xiaoguhong. He had caused them to lose their chance to obtain the Earth Cauldron. Among them, the Soaring Dragon Company's Heaven Venerate was particularly enraged. Failing to secure the Earth Cauldron was humiliating enough, but being injured by a group of brats was a grave blow to his pride and reputation. Long Chun had entered the Heavenly River. So, in theory, they should all leave now as their efforts were all useless. However, not one of them left. Many of them refused to believe that Long Chun would really dare to cross the Heavenly River. They suspected that Long Chun was planning on tricking people into leaving while he actually went in a loop and stealthily returned to the Violet Flame Heaven. In the end, they didn't loosen their traps throughout the Heavenly River and continued to guard this area, waiting for Long Chun to return. However, it was fated that their efforts would go in vain. At this time, Long Chun and the others had switched flying boats. In a giant ship, they started crossing the Heavenly River. Heaven Venerates really is terrifying. The difference between Heaven Venerates and Earth Venerates really is immense, said Goran. The others also felt a burst of fear. After all, Heaven Venerates were all unimaginably powerful. Their strength was so overwhelming that even when they all joined forces, they couldn't beat one. So, if they didn't flee this time, they wouldn't even have a chance to survive. Xiachun had even used a formation to separate that Heaven Venerate from the Heavenly Daos, and then Goran and Long Chun had attacked at the best times. But even then, they were unable to pose any fatal danger to that Heaven Venerate, leaving them feeling dejected. Goran in particular had thought that he would be able to sweep through the heavens now, only to be beaten so badly that his confidence was gone. He was listless. It's not that you're too weak, but that your enemies are too strong. To be able to fight across so many realms is already very impressive, said Yu Qingxian. She couldn't help encouraging them when she saw how dejected they were. A Heaven Venerate was an almighty existence, so it was already a huge accomplishment for them to be able to flee from one. But they still weren't satisfied. They seemed to be brooding just because they couldn't beat a Heaven Venerate. Qingxian, ignore them. They're doing it on purpose just to hear you say that, laughed Long Chun. Ignoring whether or not they could win, the fact that they had the courage to stand against a Heaven Venerate was already enough to make them famous. Hence, their dissatisfied appearances were another way of showing off. They wanted Yu Qingxian to see it and praise them, and she actually fell for it. Hee, boss, what are you saying? We're clearly very dissatisfied with our display. Goran awkwardly laughed. Goran's awkward laughter was a clear giveaway. So Yu Qingxian couldn't help but shake her head in amusement. It was evident that their apparent dejection was staged, all for the sake of her attention. In truth, a Heaven Venerate is not unmatched. My formation just now wasn't strong enough to fully cut him off from the Heavenly Daos. If I could fully separate him from the Heavenly Daos, we could launch all-out attacks and exhaust him. In the end, we might be able to kill him, said Xiachun. If we were prepared beforehand and willing to pay any price, perhaps we could beat a Heaven Venerate. But it is impossible for us to kill one. A Heaven Venerate is one with heaven and earth. So, if he wants to flee, we can't stop him. I think if we wish to kill a Heaven Venerate, we cannot use technique. We can only use brute force, said Long Chun. What kind of brute force? Asked Goran. A force that can destroy a world. This can come from a magical art, a divine weapon, or a formation. In any case, the principle is that this power must destroy laws and the foundation of the 10,000 Daos. It must be truly apocalyptic, said Long Chun. I understand. If our power doesn't go through a qualitative change, it cannot pose a threat to a Heaven Venerate. Xiachun nodded. Not good. Boss, there's a huge whirlpool up ahead. We've lost control of the battleship and are being sucked into the whirlpool. Suddenly, the Dragonblood warrior in charge of steering cried out. So soon? Long Chun was startled. They were not even half a day into the Heavenly River. As this area was still the border of the Heavenly River, there shouldn't be any fiend eyes here yet. When Long Chan and the others arrived at the head of the ship, they were shocked to find a giant whirlpool in the distance, sucking their battleship in. The immense force was not something that the battleship could resist. No, this isn't a fiend eye. Long Chen's heart shook. The whirlpool was giant, but it didn't have the sinister aura of a fiend eye. Just then, giant fish jumped out of the water, causing huge waves. Every single one of them was the size of a mountain. These fish had powerful auras. Using the human race's standards, they could be considered world kings. More and more fish began to jump from the water. Amongst them were various sea demons, some of them with auras comparable to three-flower earth venerates. Within this giant sea region, countless sea creatures were in a panic, seemingly trying to flee into the sky. "We can't control the battleship. If it gets sucked in, it'll be crushed." Xia Chen's expression changed. The heavenly river had special laws over its space, so most people were unable to fly through the air here. That meant that if their battleship was crushed, they would be lost in the sea. They would then either die inside the stomachs of some fish monster or be smashed apart by one of their stronger members. Just as everyone was panicking over this terrifying phenomenon, they suddenly felt the ship rise. An immense force then tossed the battleship into the sky. "There's something in the water. Grab the railing." Long Chen's heart pounded fiercely, as he had never experienced anything like this before. To ensure the safety of everyone on board, he instructed them to grip tightly onto the battleship, preventing them from being thrown off by the intense turbulence. Boom! As the battleship was flung into the sky, the sheer force exerted within the confined space left the passengers dazed, their blood churning within. They watched in awe as the vessel soared several miles upward. However, what awaited them was an indelible sight, forever etched in their memories. From the depths of the sea emerged a gigantic mouth that swallowed the entire whirlpool space in a terrifying display. All those giant fish and sea demons were devoured by that giant mouth, stunning Long Chen and the others. Fortunately, they had been on the outer edge of the whirlpool, so they were not devoured. They observed in awe as the colossal mouth closed and gradually submerged back into the sea, leaving behind tumultuous waves that continued to rage for an extended period. As the battleship descended, Xia Chen skillfully utilized talismans to regulate their descent. With precision, he guided them to land on the crest of a massive wave, ensuring a safe touchdown. Even though they weren't struck head-on by the wave, the battleship still endured a rough ride, resulting in numerous cracks appearing on its surface. Thus, even the process of landing on the back of one of these terrifying waves almost destroyed the battleship. Even once the mouth had vanished and the giant waves settled, they remained in a state of shock and disbelief. Although they could all count as experienced people, they had never seen such a horrifying sight before. How could millions of powerful life forms be devoured just like that? For a moment, they could only look at each other in dumbfounded silence. Almost in unison, they asked, "What was that?" Everyone looked at Long Chen. It was a whale. It is said to be the largest life form in the world, larger than the Kunping and the dragon, said Long Chen, taking a deep breath. Bigger than a dragon and Kunping? How is that possible? The Kunping was originally a fish, the overlord of the sea. How could it permit another life form to be bigger than it? Asked Guoran. I don't know. I only read something in an ancient tome that said that the biggest life form in this world is the whale. Can hide in the deep sea or high in the heavens. Those in the sea are called sea whales, and those in the sky are called heaven whales. Sea whales are ferocious and capture sea kings for food, capable of devouring the sun and moon. The heaven whales, on the other hand, swim beyond the heavenly dais, and only those with destiny can see them. As for their size, they eclipse the 9 heavens, said Long Chen. Eclipse the 9 heavens? Everyone once more jumped in shock. What thing could grow that big? How was it even possible? To be honest, I can't be certain about what we just encountered. The information in that ancient record was more like a legend than a factual knowledge. It's not that trustworthy, so I can't say for sure if it was really a sea whale. But in any case, that's all I know. Long Chen shrugged. After all, Long Chen had only read a vague introduction to it, so his understanding of a sea whale's form or characteristics was limited. Furthermore, they hadn't really gotten a clean look at the mouth. Its sudden appearance had twisted the space, making it impossible for them to describe its shape or size accurately. However, the frightening experience left them with a newfound respect for the sea. There were many secrets hidden within the 9 heavens and 10 lands, and all they had witnessed was merely a tiny drop in the ocean of hidden wonders yet to be explored. Once the waves settled, Xiachan skillfully assessed the correct direction they needed to follow, and the journey resumed. However, the unsettling experience had left everyone much more cautious and alert. If that monstrous mouth had targeted them, then even a heaven venerate would be no match, reduced to a mere snack with no ability to resist. Don't worry, we'll just travel normally. Could be a blessing, and if it's a disaster instead, well, it can't be avoided. What will come, said Long Chun with a smile. Long Chin knew just how amazing his luck was. It had nothing to do with being careful or not. Thus, he could only charge ahead blindly and face what he met. Xiachan skillfully navigated the battleship as usual, while he and Guoran continued to repair it during their journey. Fortunately, the path ahead remained peaceful, and apart from occasionally encountering formidable sea demons, they faced no imminent threats. In fact, they ended up going over the head of some enormous entity one time, and it only glanced at them before ignoring them. Not all the life forms in the heavenly river were violent. Occasionally, some dolphins would appear and frolic around the battleship. They seemed very friendly. Curiously, after the dolphins appeared, they no longer encountered any of those ferocious sea demons. Thus, Long Chun had a thought and had Xiachan follow the dolphins. He felt that these were kind life forms, and they should be familiar with the surroundings. Most likely, if they followed the dolphins, they would be able to avoid some dangers. As expected, they enjoyed a peaceful journey for 10 days, faithfully following the guidance of the dolphins. However, on the 11th day, Xiachan had to make the difficult decision to part ways with their marine companions, because if they continued to follow the dolphins, they would only go astray. They had no choice but to venture alone now. The dolphins then bid them farewell and continued to swim in the distance until they vanished from sight. As they continued onward, the seawater gradually transitioned from its familiar blue hue to an unsettling shade of black. The darkness sent shivers down their spines, leaving them on edge as they continued their voyage. "There's another whirlpool up ahead," called out Xiachan. In an instant, everyone directly tensed up. Now this is a true fiend eye. Long Chun eyed the giant whirlpool and waved his hand. "Let's go see it." "Boss, did I mishear something?" Xiachan couldn't believe his ears. The legends of a fiend eye were well known, and even he had heard about them. According to the tales, anyone unfortunate enough to be sucked inside the fiend eye would never return. Others who saw a fiend eye would instantly flee, but Long Chun wanted to get closer? Did he have something wrong with his head? "Go. It'll be fine," said Long Chun. On his previous journey from the dark light heaven to the violet flame heaven, Long Chun had encountered a fiend eye. To his dismay, he and all the other passengers on the ship were just regarded as sacrificial pawns by the Soaring Dragon Company. During that particular moment, Long Chun became acquainted with a brother and sister named Bai Fong and Bai Rui. Tragically, the two of them had endured a harrowing past, and even after that, they were still schemed against by the Soaring Dragon Company. Because of this matter, Long Chun found himself grappling with a profound sense of guilt, which then fueled his intense hatred toward the Soaring Dragon Company. Seeing the fiend eye again, he was reminded of the siblings' sacrifice. But now, he had undergone a significant transformation and possessed the Earth Cauldron, which granted him power far beyond his previous self. With his newfound strength, he wanted to investigate the fiend eye further. Feeling helpless, Xiachan could only steer the battleship toward the giant whirlpool. Once they were closer, an irresistible force pulled them in. Within the heart of the whirlpool, space quaked with explosive rumbles, and fierce winds howled relentlessly. Felt like hell on earth. The entire area was filled with a sinister aura that sent shivers down their spines, making their hair stand on end. Yu Qingxian stood by Long Chen's side, her face a bit pale. Seeing her fright, Long Chun comforted her. "Don't worry, I'm here. I just want to understand something." Suddenly, the deafening sound of the storm subsided, and the raging winds were gone. In this peaceful atmosphere, their battleship slowly fell. Just like that, they had reached the heart of the Fiend Eye. Within this enormous whirlpool, their battleship was as tiny as a speck of sand. Surrounded by the giant walls of the whirlpool, it felt as though they were sinking into the jaws of a malevolent creature. Now, the battleship could no longer escape. All its runes had lost effect, so they could only watch as they slowly descended. The most frightening thing about this place was the complete absence of sound. The eerie calmness made it feel like a realm of death, where silence prevailed and all life seemed to have vanished. Long Chun stood at the very front of the ship, observing everything without a hint of fear. He suddenly asked, "Qingxian, do you feel like the aura of this place is a bit familiar?" Yu Qingxian was startled at first, but after sensing it, she was astonished. "Now that you mention it, it really is a bit familiar. It's like the aura of hell," said Longchen. "Could it be?" Longchen nodded. "Most likely, this Fiend Eye is connected to the Nether Emperor. If it's related to the Nether Emperor, why did you have to come here?" Yu Qingxian turned pale. Was this not throwing themselves into the enemy's net? Longchen smiled slightly. "It is precisely because it is related to the Nether Emperor that we have to come and take a look." Yu Qingxian didn't know that the Nether Emperor had been slain by the Nine-Star Master and was still in the middle of nirvanic rebirth. Of course, if that wasn't the case, the Nether Emperor wouldn't be searching for heavenly geniuses from various races to serve as seeds for his plans. Time seemed to stand still in this place. They didn't know how long it was before they saw what was on the bottom of the whirlpool. When they saw it, even Longchen gasped. It was a giant sacrificial altar with a mountain of endless skeletons piled up around it. They could see no end to those skeletons. Guoran and the others felt chills. These skeletons were all human skeletons, and the number was simply impossible to calculate. At the heart of the altar was a strange tree, a giant towering tree. However, within this enormous space it appeared small. As they got closer, they saw that this tree's roots were embedded into a skull. However, the skull was covered by so many skeletons piled up around it that they couldn't see its exact shape. Thus, they didn't know if it was a human skull or some other life form. For some reason, when Longchen saw this skull, he thought of the skull that he had seen in the immemorial path thanks to the Eastern Wasteland Bell. His heart then pounded wildly. Were they connected? The number of skeletons littering this enormous space was incredulous. They were piled up thousands of miles high, further than the eye could see. Even the Dragonblood warriors were shaken by this sight. The majority of these skeletons are in the Immortal King and World King realms. Only a very small portion is in the Divine Venerate realm, said Xiachun after examining the skeletons. All of them were high-level cultivators. Just how many people are here? Trillions? Trillions of trillions. Guorant's voice quivered. This was not just a number but lives lost. Therefore, at the same time as they were shaken, they were also filled with rage. The human race was actually viewed as prey to be slaughtered and sacrificed here. It was unacceptable. Buzz. Suddenly, space quivered and a horrifying aura engulfed them, causing them to startle in fear. A heaven venerate? They took out their weapons, thinking that a heaven venerate had managed to chase after them in the heavenly river. However, they quickly realized that they were wrong. This heaven venerate's aura was chaotic and hadn't locked onto them, so they weren't his target. In fact, he was fleeing. The next moment, the void quivered, and they quickly saw his figure. It was an elder in gray robes. With a sword in his hand, he swung it through the void, causing cracks to split open. He then used the cracks as stairs and ran up them. It was evident that he had been pulled into the Fiend Eye and was desperately attempting to break free. Unluckily for him, the Fiend Eye's interior was governed by unique laws that nullified the power of heavenly Daos, including Xia Chen's talismans. Unable to use his full power but still able to cut through the void, it seemed that he was truly a terrifying heaven venerate. However, no matter how he struggled, he was still descending rapidly. When he was near the bottom, he noticed Longchen and the others. Startled by the sudden turn of events, the heaven venerate didn't even get a chance to react before the strange tree sprang to life. Its branch shot forward, piercing him like a deadly spear. The heaven venerate let out a horrifying scream as a faint wisp of smoke emanated from the wound. In an instant, his essence, chi, and spirit were completely drained. Devoid of his body, the heaven venerate's clothes dropped to the ground, and his sword clattered onto the altar. Unable to comprehend how a heaven venerate could just vanish like that, Long Chen and the others stared at each other in appalled silence. The heaven venerate was pierced by a branch, and his body mysteriously vanished. His clothing and sword simply fell to the earth, leaving Long Chen standing in stunned silence. He was struggling to grasp the surreal scene unfolding before him. Long Chen had never encountered a more formidable existence than a heaven venerate. The collective might of all those who had crossed his path paled in comparison to the power wielded by such an expert. And yet, in a matter of moments, one had been effortlessly eliminated just like that, leaving everyone present in a state of disbelief. They could only stare at the tree in horror. The scene before them was too terrifying. "Don't move. I'll go take a look at it." Long Chen walked toward the altar. When he reached the altar, he found that the ground beneath his feet was bone. In other words, the heart of the altar truly was a skull. Long Chen then arrived beneath the tree. As he touched its scale-like bark, his expression suddenly changed and he shouted, "How brazen! You dare to not reveal yourself before this lord." Guoran and the others were dumbfounded. What was their boss doing? Was he shouting at a tree? However, the tree didn't respond, not reacting at all. So Long Chen furiously swung his hand. The next moment, black soil flew out, covering the roots of the tree. This was the black soil of the primal chaos space. Buzz. To their surprise, black chi suddenly rose out of the tree and blocked the soil. After that, a panicked voice rang out. "Great Nether Emperor's son, forgive me. Please take back your punishment." Within the black chi, a strange elder appeared, draped in black robes. His stature was small and withered, yet an exquisite sapling could be seen sprouting from the crown of his head. At this moment, that sapling's leaves quivered, looking as if there were countless eyes on it. This elder hastily kowtowed toward Long Chen reverently, causing Guoran and the others' jaws to drop. They didn't know what they were seeing. Why would such a terrifying existence be kowtowing toward Long Chen? With a sweeping gesture, Long Chen commanded the black soil to retract, drawing it back into the depths of the primal chaos space. He had long since noticed that there was something off with the tree, so it was actually a powerful tree demon. Upon their descent, the tree had unmistakably sensed their presence, but it directly ignored them after that. Even so, Long Chen still sensed its divine sense the moment it swept over them. At that moment, Long Chen knew that this tree demon was the guard of this place, and he also noted the diagram of the hellflower on the altar below. Due to these factors, he could guess its identity. However, as for why this tree demon would see them and then ignore them, he had no idea. That was why he took this risk, and it worked. He managed to scare the tree demon. Based on Long Chen's thinking, the fiend eye was connected to the Nether Emperor. In that case, since Long Chen had absorbed the Nether Emperor's mark, the fiend eye wouldn't make things hard on him. That was why he dared to be so brazen. This little elder was ignorant. "Seeing you come with humans, I didn't dare to rashly greet you. Please forgive me," said the elder fearfully. "What nonsense! Do you think that this lord would believe such lies? How could you not recognize my aura? Why is it that the others immediately come greet me when I arrive, but you alone have the guts to ignore me? You even killed a heaven venerate in front of me? Are you trying to scare me off?" demanded Long Chen. "I would not dare." Seeing Long Chen chide the elder and the elder not daring to retort, Guoran and the others were dumbfounded. Their boss was too badass, wasn't he? That was an existence that could slay heaven venerates. Just what was happening with this world? "This lord wishes to know how long you have been here," said Long Chen coldly. "This lowly elder has been here for 87 million years. During this time, I have always been carrying out my work dutifully," answered the elder respectfully. Long Chen nodded. "Then amongst the guards, you're actually quite young." Long Chun actually had no idea. He was just trying to see what information he could dredge up. Yes, this lowly elder truly has not been working for the great Nether Emperor for long. Compared to my seniors in the other fiend eyes, I am a junior. However, I will definitely work hard to not betray the Nether Emperor's expectations. As expected. No wonder he didn't even mention the Ghost Sovereign's mark. It seemed that he was unable to sense it. Otherwise, he would be questioning Long Chun. Even if he didn't ask directly, he would be suspicious and ask a few roundabout questions. Since that was the case, it seemed that this tree demon's power was inferior to the fiend eye that Long Chun had previously encountered. This lord has been ordered by the Nether Emperor to inspect the 16 fiend eyes in this region. I will judge just how much you have contributed, said Long Chun arrogantly, his hands clasped behind him. In any case, his Nether Emperor mark was clearly sensed by this tree demon. With this status, he could spout nonsense without care. 16 fiend eyes? This section of the heavenly river only has 13, right? The tree demon elder was startled. Long Chun had gone too far. He should have gone with a lower number. However, just who was Long Chun? His face was astoundingly thick, so he didn't even twitch. Did you think that the dark light heaven and the violet flame heaven had no fiend eyes between them? Did you think that this lord was just bragging? This lowly elder would not dare. Since you have come to inspect the situation, please take a look, said the elder, finally rising from his kowtow. At this moment, the altar beneath Long Chun's feet split open. Only then did Long Chun realize that there was such an enormous space down below. Standing here, Long Chun could see the interior of the space. Countless chains extended inside, intricately linking to the core where a giant crystal resided. To his surprise, it was a cubic crystal stretching over 30 miles in length, with an enormous amount of energy flowing within it. Moreover, this crystal contains such pure life energy, which could only form when countless lives were merged into one. Long Chun understood that the life energy of all the skeletons had been extracted and injected into this crystal. In an instant, the purpose of the fiend eyes became clear to him. The Nether Emperor had been slain by the 9-star master and was still in the midst of a nirvanic rebirth. Therefore, this entire thing must be related to the revival of the Nether Emperor, leaving him feeling shocked and enraged. How many fiend eyes were set up within the 9 heavens and 10 lands? Just how many members of the human race were they killing? This crystal's life energy is astonishing. Perhaps it really does have the ability to revive a dead person. However, as a member of the human race, how can I use the lives of my people to heal myself? I'll need to think of a way to destroy it. Long Chun made his resolve. Don't destroy it. That would be too wasteful. Suddenly, the dragon expert's voice rang out in his mind. Then what am I supposed to do? Asked Long Chun. Take it and feed it to the earth cauldron. It can help the cauldron recover, said the dragon expert. However, if you want to take it, you'll need to think of a way to deal with that tree demon first. That fellow won't be so easy to provoke. With your current power, you definitely aren't a match for it. Sometimes, when you don't have power, using wits is your only option. Long Chun's gaze suddenly turned to the tree demon, causing that elder's expression to change subtly. Seeing Long Chun's gaze, the elder had a bad feeling. Great son of the Nether Emperor, do my humble efforts meet your esteemed satisfaction? Inquired the tree demon, its voice quivering with a mix of trepidation and respect. Yet, its fear did not stem from Long Chun's presence, but rather from the weight of his exalted status. Don't call me the son of the Nether Emperor. Call me the Lord of the Nether Emperor. Can you not see that I am different from the sons of the Nether Emperor? I have the Nether Emperor's supreme will on me. I don't believe that you can't see it. Long Chun then took off his eye patch and opened his left eye. The image of the hell flower materialized within Long Chun's black pupil, looking like the devil's eye. But immediately after, black traces of blood quickly flowed out of his left eye, so he hurriedly shut it and put on the eye patch. His left eye had yet to fully recover, so opening it was still very painful. However, this was enough. As expected, the tree demon was so frightened upon seeing it that he kowtowed reverently. Just looking at that pupil caused him to shiver in fear. After the hell flower was absorbed by the purgatory eyes, it had gone through a transformation. Its energy was beyond the scope that Long Chen could control. Thus, even if Long Chen's cultivation base wasn't worth anything in front of this tree demon, this hell flower could still terrify him. "This lowly elder greets the great lord of the Nether Emperor," cried the tree demon hastily. Seeing him so frightened, Long Chen felt very confident. He said, "You are not a member of my netherworld. You come from the undying world. Am I right?" The elder was startled. "Great lord of the Nether Emperor, although I am not a life form from the netherworld, I don't dare to be the slightest bit dash." Long Chen flapped his hand. "You don't need to be afraid. I am not questioning your loyalty to the Nether Emperor." Hearing that, the elder instantly relaxed a great deal. Long Chen continued, "Do you come from the undying world's corpse devil demon forest?" "Reporting to the dash." "You can just speak directly," interrupted Long Chen. "Yes. If I have not misjudged, you should be from the undying race's undying dragon tree, correct?" The tree demon was startled, not expecting Long Chen to have seen through his origins. However, he still didn't know if that was a good thing or a bad thing. Thus, with a quivering voice, he said, "Yes, this lowly elder was originally from the undying dragon tree race." "Then I will ask you a question. Do not lie, or it would be the greatest betrayal toward the Nether Emperor." Long Chen's expression suddenly grew dark and strict. "Great One, please ask your question. This lowly elder will not dare to hide the slightest thing. What relationship do you have with the undying willow race, the undying dragon tree?" Long Chen had seen an introduction about them in the High Firmament Academy. Just like the Devil Eye Water Lily, they were from the undying world, but Long Chen wanted to be sure. "Do not hesitate," ordered Long Chen coldly. The elder was originally hesitant to answer, but once Long Chen urged him on, he could only clench his teeth and say, "Our undying dragon tree race is a subsidiary of the undying willow race. We have sworn our lives to the undying willow race." Long Chen smiled. That was the answer he had been hoping for. Seeing this smile, the elder instantly relaxed a great deal. It seemed that Long Chen was satisfied with his answer. "May I know what relationship the great lord of the Nether Emperor has with our undying dragon tree race?" probed the elder. "Don't move." Long Chen pointed at the elder's head, sending images relating to Lu Ruyan into his mind. "So you have such a deep relationship with our emperor race." The elder's delight was overwhelming, almost bordering on disbelief. The images Long Chen gave him were of Lu Ruyan fighting alongside him and the others, along with some conversations they had. It was enough proof of their connection. "Hee, since you're on the side of the undying willow race, it should be easy to talk now. Tell me, how did you end up here? Why are you helping the Nether Emperor?" asked Long Chen. The elder hesitated. Long Chen smiled. "In order to express my sincerity, I'll tell you who I really am. I'm not the son of the Nether Emperor, nor am I his daddy. Actually, I have no relationship with the Nether Emperor at all. I faked my identity to come and take a look at this place. And now, I want to see if I can steal the life crystal." "You?" The elder couldn't believe his ears. "Are you not afraid of me?" Long Chen smiled. "Don't think that just because you are stronger that you can lie to me. You don't have the power to lie in front of me, so I believe you." The elder stared at Long Chen for a long time before bitterly smiling and shaking his head. "Little brother, you should leave. You cannot take the life crystal. Even if you have a relationship with the undying willow race, I cannot help you. Once the life crystal is taken, I will also die. I know, you have the Nether Emperor's seal on you, but I can help you remove the seal. You can regain your freedom," said Long Chen. You can do that?" In an instant, the elder's calmness was shattered, his voice quivering with both excitement and nervousness. "Of course, there would be no point in me lying to you. You were caught by the Nether Emperor and forced to act as a guard here, right?" asked Long Chen. The elder nodded. Actually, he wasn't caught by the Nether Emperor himself. but by some of his attendants who found him in the undying world. During that time, the Nether Emperor's seal was forcibly imposed upon him, and he found himself ensnared within the intricate web of the Devil Eye Grand formation. Just like that, he became the Nether Emperor's slave, tasked with the arduous duty of harvesting life energy. According to him, various forces would send a few sacrifices his way, and he was only in charge of gathering them. Amongst those powers was also the Soaring Dragon Company. Additionally, some of those powers would simply lure heaven venerates into the surroundings, and he would be in charge of killing them. As this explanation sank in, Long Chun realized a sobering truth. The lives lost here weren't claimed by the Nether Emperor, but rather by the actions of fellow humans. Those powers that were sacrificing humans to the Nether Emperor were definitely related to him. As for what benefits there were for them, this elder didn't really know. After all, he was only in charge of the reaping. Certain powers would draw their most powerful enemies here to get rid of them without using the slightest effort. For example, that poor heaven venerate. He had been sent here through a trap transportation formation. Other than the sacrifices, the fiend eye would also draw in any prey that wandered here. Anyone who attracted its attention would die, as even heaven venerates were nothing in front of the power of a fiend eye. After all, this place was backed by the power of the Nether Emperor. Even if it was just a trace of it, it wasn't something that ordinary heaven venerates could resist. After learning all of this, Long Chun said, "Senior, prepare yourself. I am going to start absorbing the Nether Emperor's seal. However, I have one condition. Once you regain your freedom, you must be my guard for a certain amount of time. Once I become a world king, you can leave, and we will owe each other nothing. Is that acceptable to you? If you can help me remove my bindings and leave this damnable place, I will be your guard for a lifetime," implored the elder of the undying dragon tree race. In this place, he was nothing more than a slave to the Nether Emperor. He had no freedom at all. Having guarded this damn place for millions of years, he was about to go crazy. Therefore, Long Chen's condition wasn't even worth mentioning. After all, Long Chen was already an immortal king. According to this elder's standard, in the blink of an eye, Long Chen would become a world king. Moreover, as long as he could leave this place, he was willing to accept any conditions at all. As an undying dragon tree, being trapped in the heavenly river was torture. The laws of this place were constantly eroding his body. After so many years, all he could do was preserve his cultivation base. Just managing to prevent his power from regressing was already an enormous fortune to him. No need. Once I have the power to protect myself, you can return to the undying world. You can also help me send word to the undying willow race. Help me ask where a friend, no, where two friends are. Long Chun had a feeling that Lu Ruyan and Chu Yao were together. After all, the two of them never left each other. If Lu Ruyan had returned to the corpse devil demon forest, she would definitely have brought Chu Yao. Prepare yourself. It might be a bit painful, so you must endure. Long Chun took a deep breath and once more tore off his eye patch. Buzz. The moment Long Chun opened his left eye, the hell flower once more appeared. This time, Long Chun used his pupil art to activate the hell flower, and a terrifying death energy erupted. The hell flower mark on the altar then lit up. At the same time, strange lines also appeared on the elder's body. The elder couldn't help but scream in pain, his whole body quivering. However, if this was his price of freedom, he would endure it without complaint. As the entire fiend eye quivered, some kind of black energy formed ripples of death that converged into Long Chen's purgatory eyes. Just like that, blood ran out of his left eye once more, and it was even more painful than the last. However, Long Chen wasn't afraid. He knew that absorbing this energy would strengthen the purgatory eyes. It wasn't a bad thing for him. As long as he could endure, the purgatory eyes would grow stronger. On the other hand, the elder was almost convulsing on the ground, feeling like his soul was being stripped out of his body. However, he bitterly endured and held back his screams. He knew that Long Chen had to be enduring a similar pain to him. Also, as a member of the undying dragon tree race, he had his own pride. He couldn't be lacking compared to a member of the junior generation. Boom! Suddenly, the entire fiend eye shook one final time, and endless black energy poured into Long Chen's left eye. When it was done, Long Chen hastily shut his left eye. Half of his face was now covered in blood, looking like it was stained by black spiderwebs. Intense fiery pain pierced his eye, as though his eyeball might break. The pain also extended to half of his head, creating a sensation as if it was about to explode. "Master, are you all right?" The elder urgently ran over to Long Chen. At this time, the elder's face was no longer scrunched in pain. Instead, he was beaming gratefully. Long Chen really had managed to remove the Nether Emperor's seal on this elder. So he had finally escaped his shackles and regained his freedom. "You don't need to call me master. There's no need to be so courteous. You can just call me Long Chen." It was only after a bit that Long Chen recovered enough to reply. "How can that be? You are my greatest benefactor, and I will never be able to repay you in this lifetime. You want me to be your guard? Then during this time you are my master. My undying dragon tree race cannot be known as ingrates who do not repay kindness," said the elder solemnly. The undying dragon tree race. They were a famous race within the undying world, and they cared a great deal about their reputation. After receiving such favor from Long Chen, this elder was full of gratitude. Thus, he was determined to protect Long Chen to death during this time. At this time, Xiachen, Guoran, and the others also ran over. As for Yu Qingxian, she was aggrieved to see Long Chen in such pain, but she didn't say anything. She only fed him a healing pill to alleviate the pain. After consuming the pill, Long Chen could feel the pain fading quite a bit. The elder then said, "Master, do you really want to take this life crystal? If you take it, the fiend eye will crumble and the nether servants may come to hunt you down. Senior, in order to make it easier in the future, I'll just call you Uncle Tree, alright? Uncle Tree, this life energy is very useful to me. I must take it. As for the rest, I don't care that much. So, please guard me while I take it." Long Chen then went to the life tree. After he formed hand seals, the void quivered and a bronze cauldron appeared. The earth cauldron had always been like a dead object, so Long Chen was only capable of using it to smash people and defend. However, when it appeared today, countless runes quivered on its body as if it had come to life. It was automatically drawn to the giant life crystal, and in an instant, the enormous amount of life energy within the crystal vanished. It had to be known that this elder had spent countless years absorbing life energy. This meant that the lives of trillions and trillions of experts were absorbed in a second. After absorbing the life crystal, quite a bit of rust fell from the cauldron, and the portions that were free from rust began to emit a strange shine. Through this light, it was possible to see its profound runes. All of this life energy only allowed a third of its rust to fall? Sigh. I guess awakening it will need at least 2 more of these life crystals. Long Chen couldn't help being shocked. The Heaven-Earth Cauldron was truly worthy of being a primal chaos divine item. Fully restoring it would take some effort. From the area without the rust, Long Chen could feel a slight spiritual connection. "This is..." "Yes, you now have the power to use it," said the dragon expert. "Really? Then can I use it to suppress heaven venerates?" asked Long Chen excitedly. "Yes, in theory." "What does that mean?" "In reality, I said that you could use it, not drawing out its full power. You misunderstand. It is the Earth Cauldron of the Heaven-Earth Cauldron, and it is not a fighting weapon. Its focus is on defense. Anyway, you are too weak to activate even a single one of its runes, let alone activate its actual defensive might," said the dragon expert. "Then doesn't that mean that I can't use it?" demanded Long Chen, his excitement extinguishing. "You can't use it in combat, but you can use it for other purposes." "Like what?" "For example, refining pills." "What?" Long Chen was instantly revitalized.